Christian Miller.
It's time for the Miller's Edge with four-time SEC champion and two-time national champion Christian Miller.
Once again with Christian Miller taking him down.
Here's college football playoff national champion Christian Miller on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC.
And welcome into this Talkin Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are ready for some good old sports talk. And we got you covered today. A lot of headlines to discuss. Shout out to Reed, who's back behind the glass. It's been a minute, Reed. How have you been, man? I think you were on vacation, right? I hadn't seen you in a while. I forgot what it is to see Reed behind the glass. So welcome back, Reed.
Well, no, I appreciate it, Christian. And no, it was really good. Spending, my time for my 21st birthday was great. Just enjoyed it around some family and friends. And what a day, that my 21st birthday was. But, going to today, I don't know if the chat or the listeners know, but Christian Miller turning the big 3-0, 30 years old today.
Man, come on, man. You can't tell on me, man. I'm getting old, man. No, I'm playing. Thank you so much. No, I appreciate it. And happy belated birthday to you. You turned the big 21, man. That's a big birthday, Reed. You said you had quite a day. You mind sharing? Did you do anything big for the big 2-1? Now, if anything wild happened, you can hold that close to the vest. Now, it's 21, man. I'm just saying, not going to judge you. Not going to judge you.
Nothing crazy. I really just made some food with my family and really just I'm a big guy in like family time. So really got off our screens and just like enjoyed some games that we did. And it was just really good overall.
You sound like me, man. You sound like me. Matter of fact, I think for my 21st birthday, if I remember correctly, I think because I was living over, because I was in school here, and I think I was living over in that Midtown area. I think we walked over to, there was like a bar and grill. It was like a restaurant. I think I might have ordered like a Corona. Now, I'm just going to tell myself, I already tried some alcohol before that. It was not like my first ever drink, but it was very simple. I think there's a picture of like me, my dad, my brother kind of sitting there at the bar, which it literally was like just ordered one drink, kind of just said, hey, you got to do it. You turned 21. And then I think we might have, I don't know, kind of did the same thing, just kind of hung out. I've never been a big like, hey man, we're going to throw this party. We're going to do this. I'm trying to get better about it. I've never been a big birthday type of person. I've always kind of, it's a blessing for sure. I want to be clear about that. But to me, I'm like, it's another day. I don't want to sit there. And I don't know. I don't like everything being about me. I get weird about it, man. So that's probably part of it. But I'm trying to do a better job of really enjoying and embracing it because it really is a blessing, man. And maybe it's just because I've been reading more news than usual. But you look out and you see all these headlines and all these things that go on, man. And you really should slow down sometimes to say it really is a blessing. Every day you wake up, right? I mean, just to have an opportunity. I think sometimes we kind of get caught up in our lives, which move fast. We typically have a lot of stuff going on, right? Whether it's with family, whether with sports or professionally. I think sometimes we forget, man, just all the little things we should just be grateful for and appreciative each and every day. And I try to do that. I'll be honest with you. I do. I'm a very simple person as it is. I think anybody that knows me knows. I mean, I'm about as simple as it gets. But even then, I still think I should slow down a little bit more. So today I do really feel that because I'm like, man, you think about 30, it's kind of crazy when you say it, Reed, because I'm like, it feels like yesterday. I just was turning 21. Now, I'm not trying to get on here and sound like unk, but to be honest with you, and I'm serious, man, it's crazy how time flies. So I guess my birthday advice for anybody out there, man, slow down, enjoy the moment, be present, like you said, whether it's with your family, hell, dogs. I mean, my dogs are like my best friends, right? I mean, whether it's dogs, whether it's yeah, you know what I mean? Hell, my friends that I play video games with overseas, I'm appreciative for them. Just stuff like that, man. It's just little moments like that I think we all can be grateful for as we all kind of go through this thing called life together. So thank you, Reed, and everybody else in the chat and everybody that has wished me a happy birthday. I got to get back with a number of folks that have texted me this morning. It was really cool to wake up to that. To be honest with you, my phone died, so I felt bad. Hopefully it wasn't going green for some folks, but as soon as I put it on the charger, I had some messages rolling in, so I need to circle back and say my thanks. But enough about me. Thank you guys so much. We got to talk some sports, man. A couple things that are headlining today that we'll discuss here on the show, Reed. Number one, Alabama baseball, right? That was a tough one. Little tough one to watch, man. I tuned in. Again, we got off the show a little early yesterday, about 15 minutes or so. Wasn't a big deal. I tuned into that. I had it pulled up, Reed. I was sitting there watching it at the desk here in the Lamparello Law Studios. And, man, the first game was already tough. 9-0, 9-0, as we say in the soccer world. We got the World Cup going on. Sorry. That was, unfortunate. But you're like, all right, we just got to get our footing, put it behind us. Hopefully we can, come back and respond the right way. But didn't do that, Reed. Didn't do that. Ended up losing pretty much even worse against Texas, which it feels like Texas just had our number recently, Reed. I mean, I hate to say that because I already know Digger's probably over there laughing and rolling around and smiling, hooting, hollering, all that good stuff. But I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due. Texas has been kind of doing their big one in the postseason. I feel like with us too, it feels like they've kind of had our number a little bit, but it is what it is with that. I do want to say shout out to our baseball team. I said this yesterday. I don't mean this in any way of disrespect or anything, but I almost felt like we were playing with a little bit of house money. Not saying they weren't expected to get there, but let's just call a spade a spade. I mean, they did some really good things this season. They also had a few low moments, right? I think it was at Troy that they might not Troy or South Alabama they had lost to in a midweek game. People were kind of frustrated about that. They responded and listen, they made it to Omaha for the first time in 27 years. I mean, I think that in itself deserves a huge round of applause, right? They at least got there. I understand the frustration that fans might have because it does feel like, man, football, we get to the playoffs, we get blown out by Indiana. Baseball, man, we get there, we get blown out in 2 games by Oklahoma and by Texas. But listen, I think the positive from this, Read, is now you got yet another sport that people are starting to take a little bit more serious, which kind of is a blessing and a curse if you're thinking about it. The only reason I say it would be a curse is as much as we talk about NIL. I had this question, Reed, and maybe we can talk about this a little bit because we definitely got to talk some about Sorsby and all that. Plus, anticipate getting Mr. Clint Lamb and cover Crimson here on the top of the hour. But I was seeing a lot of people talk about this. Hey, man, you got your coach in Rob Vaughn, right? You feel really good about him. JJ, pitching coach. I mean, they've done a really phenomenal job. But when you compare our roster to other teams, a lot of people said, I mean, to be fair, we probably don't have the same level of talent as some of these other programs. Well, you got a lot of the other pieces in place. Could it be that we needed to start allocating a little bit more money to baseball? I mean, I'm sure they probably need it regardless. But here's the problem, Reed. They typically don't make money. I'm pretty sure they're also one of the negative sports. And 2, we got a football program that's going to eat up a bunch of that. And also a basketball program with Nate Oates. And don't forget about softball over there. So I almost feel like Alabama's kind of in an interesting spot where it's a huge blessing that we have so many sports that are excelling and doing so many great things. But on the other end of that, it does feel like it's a little bit of a challenge, Reed, because we're already saying, hey, football, we're looking at recruiting, and we're saying, man, I understand we're taking a smaller class, but it's clear that we're being a little bit wiser with how we spend, which I think makes total sense. Then you look at schools like Texas or Ohio State or Oregon, Reed, and you're like, man, they don't really seem to be having to make those decisions on, hey, we're going to anticipate spending more on retention, so we're going to cut back on high school spending. No, with others, in fact, it feels like there's no cutback anywhere. It's there, hey, we're going to spend in high school here. All right, we're going to ramp up in the portal here. Oh, and we're going to pay this guy to retain him. And I just feel like it's a little bit tough of a decision. But that's why you got guys like Greg Byrne. It's his job to figure that part out. But I say all that to say shout out to baseball. Definitely not the result we wanted. Definitely not the performances I don't even think they wanted, right? Definitely probably not their best showing. But the fact that they showed up in Omaha for the first time in 27 years deserves a round of applause. Congratulate those guys on a great season. Hopefully we can build off of that because I think people got to see some excitement with baseball. And I feel like it's kind of, I don't know, maybe attracted a few more people. I mean, we saw the turnout for the Supers. Hopefully we can start recreating that. But I even saw people saying this, Reed, is kind of interesting. They're saying maybe Justin LeBron should consider coming back, tune some things up. I just feel like when you're projected to be a first-round pick, and I know baseball is a little bit different than football, but still, I mean, that's kind of hard to turn down. You have any thoughts on that before we hit this first break?
Yeah, no, Christian, I think I'm with you. I think that'd be very hard to turn down, especially where he was projected. Now, heading into the season, I saw a lot of top 10 area, like
Easy.
heading into the season. And of course, I know there were some errors, especially early on in the season, that I feel like he kind of fixated toward the tail end of the season. But still, I feel like he is still a solidified first-round pick.
I would imagine so. Now, I'm not a baseball expert, but from what I saw out of him this season, the limited amount of I guess games that I did in fact watch, I mean, did he probably drop some from that initial? Like I was hearing even like top 5. Like, I mean, like people were ecstatic about him going into the season. He probably dropped off some, but I don't think enough to say he probably should come back. Now, if he does come back, which I don't think he probably does, but I don't think it probably would hurt him, right? I mean, you got NIL nowadays. You can fine tune your game, but personally, I just believe it's kind of like Coach Saban's method, man. If you have a first round grade, you might as well go on and do what you got to do and explore the next level. And we know he's a special player. He's going to be, good regardless. But I just saw people talk about that. I'm like, that's kind of interesting. I mean, could he decide to come back? I mean, we're talking about more NIL resources. That's definitely going to probably have to be a factor if you're getting a guy like that to return. But shout out to baseball. Not the result we wanted. 14-2 loss yesterday in that elimination game against Texas. But hopefully we can build off of that going into next season. We got to hit a timeout. When we come back, we'll keep talking. Maybe we'll hear a little bit from Raul Vaughn briefly, just his presser from the game, kind of put a bow on that. And we got to talk about the Sorsby situation, Reed, because it took a pretty interesting turn last night, a turn that I don't think anybody really saw coming. But all of a sudden, man, there was a huge update that we have to discuss, because we were talking about Sorsby yesterday and how the Big 12 was finally taking action. Well, maybe they took action without even taking action. We'll talk about that and more when we come back right here on this Talkin' Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Quick timeout. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Under the biggest cactus in town, Taco Casa. Quality is number one. You got to start with a good quality product, but it's got to be at a good value to the customers.
Everything is about quality.
You just can't beat the quality, taste, and value.
And it's because we take pride in providing you with the best.
Good customer service and good food, good quality.
We want to make sure that we give that to them each and every time they come and visit us. The sense of pride that we have in the quality, the consistency of our food carries over to everything we do in the stores. That's Taco Casa.
After a wreck, everything you do matters. Say the wrong thing, your claim is denied. Miss a step, evidence disappears, and the insurance company closes their file. That's why you need protection now. You need someone who knows the process and protects your rights from the start. Call Ms. Reyno. Dial 900-9000. That's 900-9000 for a free consultation. No fees unless we win. No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be formed is greater than that of other lawyers.
You love your land, and you have plans for it. During Kubota's Orange Days, you'll love the great deals on their versatile lineup, helping you turn dreams into reality. Visit your Kubota dealer, Tuscaloosa Tractor, today for the best deals of the year. Now through June 30th, 0% financing available, or save up to $5,500 off select compact tractors. Sell in soon. Stop by Tuscaloosa Tractor at 3921 Skyland Boulevard East or go to Kubota.com.
From our home base in Birmingham, Alabama,
we are here
treating patients from every generation
across the United States
and from around the world.
We're here for the rookies and the dreamers, trying to make a name for themselves.
All right, we got the Pastor of Pain on here, and my Aunt Wanda. we have two guests here on the show. Excuse me. Oh man, my voice is cracked. Can y'all hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good deal. Well, that's interesting. I just got a happy birthday wish and a investment opportunity. That's actually kind of. Let me hold on. Give me a second. Let me look at this. See what this is. All right, good deal. Let me get to the chat real quick. Oh wait, that actually does look like a good opportunity. Where is that at? Let me lock in on the show. Wait, oh dang, that actually is. That's a good opportunity. All right, let's see what we got in this chat real quick. Jake, what's going on? Tech just keeps making themselves look worse and worse. I couldn't agree anymore, man. That is so true. And yes, it is my birthday, guys. So thank you guys so much. Jake, thank you so much. Crystal, Army, thank you so much. We got Mike. What's up, man? Thank you so much. Trevor, thank you. Yakenji, thank you so much. We got the whole crew in here. Bishop, what's going on, man? Thank you so much. 81 days away. Is that what the number we're on? Who wore number 81? My roommate, Derek Keith. Jeremy, thank you, brother. Thank you. Arthur, thank you so much. Kyle, thank you. Dan, thank you so much. Appreciate you guys, man. You guys are awesome, man. I appreciate it. Wouldn't want to spend my birthday with any other group of people, man, within the Miller's Edge family. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Raheem, thank you, brother. Brandon, thank you, bro. Thank you guys so much. QD, thank you. All right. Let me bring us back, man. Thank you guys. Seriously. If I missed somebody, I apologize. But thank you guys. Thank you. And welcome back into this Talkin' Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230. WTBC. We got a special guest back here on the show. It's been quite some time.
Take exit 29 for I-20
and by those directions, you probably can guess who it is. We got the Pastor of Pain back on the show, making his way back home from Tuscaloosa. He stopped by. He had a golf tournament he played in Mississippi and ended up coming and hanging out. Worked out perfectly. Got to, like Reed had mentioned, doing birthday dinners with family. He actually got on the grill last night, man. He did his thing. I got to give him props, man. I forgot that he actually can cook a little bit. Normally, it's my Aunt Wanda who's in the passenger seat there hanging out with him. But normally, she's the one throwing down. That's right. It's normally Aunt Wanda throwing down. But he can cook a little bit. I'll give him his credit. He hopped on my Traeger last night. Steaks, they were great. Seasoned good. Cooked really good. He did it. The salmon though he cooked a big old slab of salmon. It was really good. I'll give him his credit on that for sure. I think man wanted some pasta, and we had some corn. They smoked some corn. So it's a great birthday dinner, by the way. So thank you guys again for coming and hanging out and making that awesome meal. Now welcome back in. I know it's been a minute, man. So tell the people what's up, man. I know they've been asking about you over the last couple of weeks, man.
Oh man, yeah, I've been busy. Knocking out these few tournaments. I was with your teammate last week, Sunday, Monday, Greg Olson, who won the top. I don't know what they call it, Emmy or whatever they call for best TV personality. Beat out Tom Brady, which you took his place as the number one guy on Fox. So I was with your Carolina Panther teammate Greg Olson, and Wednesday I did a free camp in Greenville, South Carolina. That was a success. Hopped in the car, stopped to you on Wednesday, got in the car Thursday, drove to Mississippi, was there 3 days, and back to you for 2.5 days and back home. So then I got one more camp to do. Then I'm pretty much off for the summer, but stay tuned. The book is finished. It's getting worked on right now. I get the rough draft when I get home. From the Gridiron to the Gospel is a book that I've written. So I ain't said nothing about it, but the last year and some change, I've been working on my first book, and so it hopefully be released by the end of the summer. So that's what I've been doing, and I think this book's going to be a big hit. Going to help a lot of people, and just basically about my life and how God took me from gridiron, from the streets and fields of Payson, South Carolina, to the turf field and the Meadowlands in New York City, back to Columbia, South Carolina, to the pulpit. And so it's going to be pretty good.
Definitely looking forward to that. So it sounds like you're getting your J.K. Rowling on. I wasn't aware that you were writing a book, but I got to ask you, because last time I checked it, my mom was doing your schoolwork in college. You just magically started writing all of a sudden, or can you spill the beans? Did you write this book, or did somebody write this book as you spoke about it? I mean, it's all right if you did that. A lot of people do that.
Well, that's what people do. I mean, when you say write, you don't live like I didn't literally sit there and sharpen with a number 2 pencil and sit there and write.
Well, I mean,
so you sit there and you talk, and then you answer questions and you talk more. But so it's definitely in your words. It's you make it how you want it. I don't want somebody to put it the way they think. I put it the way I wanted to say. And then what's going to happen is going to be my audio book, which I will voice it myself. So that's going to be the real part of it. So that's the next part of it. When I get everything done, I'll start working on the audio version of it and sitting in the studio for hours a day, just going through reading the book basically, and in my voice. So yeah, it would. Yeah. So I'm not a writer, man. I mean, you know what I mean. I need somebody to tell me, oh, this should be capitalized, a comma, a hyphen. I'm not that smart, but
I wasn't saying all that. I was saying more so like, I mean, you got big old hands. Like you talking about writing a book? I was imagining you sitting down with a cigar in one hand, and then
I did have a cigar and a pipe. That's where I got my pipe.
But I'm trying. The next step was I'm imagining you like you're writing it actually, like I'm just saying, I don't know if I can see all that, man.
Man, I don't even like signing a check. I mean, come on. I mean, nobody writes anything anymore. Who actually writes? I mean, nobody writes.
I'll be honest with you. So what I really was trying to politely ask, did you maybe use any AI software? A lot of kids use ChatGPT nowadays for essays. Yeah. So I just was curious. I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, because what's interesting is AI and chat will go find articles. They will go find things like when I was my New York Giants things, like I haven't even forgotten about, like certain things, stories. I mean, it's unbelievable, like that they could go find. I like it for the research part of it, but even things that I had maybe even posted about years ago, like there was an article at my home church where you and the boys, you and CJ came, that it pulled that up. Like they wrote an article about it and had a picture of me and you and CJ and sitting in the pews in my home church. Like I never would have found that. And it found that. That's what I'm saying. So like, that's what's good about it. I mean, so I don't know how kids going to learn today, because I think, I mean, it's taking over the world. I mean, but when you voice with somebody everything that the stories and you talking as if you're writing, that's what it's going to be. But it's my stories. AI can't do your stories. I mean, these are real things. It's not make believe. I guess
no, 100%. No. Like I said, I was giving you a hard time. I'll tell them myself. I love Spanish. I'm invested in Spanish. I try to use ChatGPT to write me a Spanish book that I could, make an ebook out of. And what's crazy was it actually came up with one. Now, while I was trying to transfer it from ChatGPT, it kind of got all messy. Then I just kind of gave up on it. But to be fair, I mean, you can make pretty much anything from AI. It is kind of scary.
I mean, everybody uses it. Everybody uses a variation of it just for research and things like that. But it's all good. It's your story. It's AI did not know that we used to break into school and steal lunch boxes in the summertime. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's how it looked.
That's kind of what I was imagining. That's why I was asking if you, in fact, if you were writing it, because when you said you wrote a book, that's kind of
that's some craziness right there.
What do you mean?
That is me, though. That's me.
But you know what's crazy? So AI just did that in not even 2 minutes. I just took a picture of you and I said, generate a picture of him looking like Shakespeare writing a book with a cigar, and it made that in 30 seconds, and it's already on our live stream. So that's the power of AI. So to be honest with you, I don't think
I kind of like that. Shoot, I kind of look presidential. George Washington. I don't want to say Donald Trump.
Here we go. But, hey, no, I was going to ask you about that because you weren't on here, but your team, you had your Giants team. They had some drama because y'all's quarterback just introed the president, and then you had a linebacker, and it went in the news. But yeah, you do look very official now. Back in those times, I mean that's way back then. But
I need to say that. I'll put that on my page. It's pretty good. Coming soon.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll send it over to you. There you go. You got it. It's all yours. All right, let's hit a timeout. When we come back, we'll keep on rolling. We got to talk about this Brendan Sorsby situation. I don't know if my dad's kept up with it. We'll fill him in on it. Anybody that hasn't heard of it, I'm sure you guys have, because it took a a big twist last night, something that no one was expecting to happen, ended up happening. And I think it kind of resolved itself. So we'll talk about that.
I need all the boys, all the girls out there. It's Christian's 30th birthday. I like the happy birthday, but send the brother a super chat. Send $5, $10.
Whoa.
No, I ain't scared. I'm a preacher. We ask for money. Send the man a super chat. Send the man a thank you. Give him a $5 birthday super chat. You know, you got 80, 90 people on here. Give that brother a super chat. Stop being stingy.
No. You guys are all good. Just tune into the show, like, subscribe, and all that stuff. We're all good.
I had to tell the people the truth. I am the truth. Like Mr. Femi. Over Femi. Okay. I am the truth.
You are the truth. All right, we got a timeout. We come back. We keep on rolling right here on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC. Hey, it's Christian Miller, and I wanted to tell you about our friends over at Lamparello Law, Education, and Advocacy, founded by attorney and Professor Adam Lamparello, helping students at every level with mentoring, exam prep, applications, and career planning. Adam also represents students, faculty, and athletes in academic misconduct, First Amendment, NIL, and criminal defense cases, known for real care and relentless advocacy. For guidance you can trust, call 201-317-5115 or visit lamparello-law.com. That's Lamparello Law, Education, and Advocacy. Proud partner.
From our home base in Birmingham, Alabama.
We are here treating patients from every generation.
Latoya with the $5 super chat. You guys don't have to do that. Oh, okay. And we got another one. You guys don't have to do that, man. I appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. Yeah. Latoya, thank you so much for that $5 super chat and the birthday wish. Thank you so much. Guys, all right. All right, I guess he is good at what he does being a pastor, because I feel like you guys are tithing right now. But, I did have a nice message to open the show, so maybe that's what y'all are tithing for that. I feel like that was a pretty heartfelt message. Thank you so much, Latoya, for the birthday wish, of course, and also the super chat. You guys, I promise you don't have to do that, but thank you. Dwight, thank you so much for the $10 super chat and the birthday wish, my guy. And seriously, thank you for just being here every day, tagging us and stuff. You're like you're pretty much part of the team, man. You're an unofficial part of the team, Dwight. So thank you so much for that, for always supporting us and helping us out. And of course, the birthday wish and the super chat. And from our guy Arthur, thank you so much again for the super chat and the birthday wish. I appreciate you guys.
That's what I'm talking about. Keep it coming.
Okay. Man, that's really nice, seriously. But just the birthday wishes are fine, guys. I appreciate it. But thank you so much, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. You are good at what you do, man. You got a way to raise funds, man. That's I guess it's a big part of being a pastor, man. Arthur, Dwight, and Latoya, thank you guys so much, man. Seriously, thank you. That picture's kind of you might need to use that picture though. By the way, I'll send it over to you. What?
I'm just thinking of signing the scroll back in the Old Testament day. Signing the scroll right there. Genesis 4:19.
You know what's crazy? It's like when we have guests now, like I used to spend so much time, going on Canva and editing these photos and these pictures for our guests. Now I just take their picture, put it on AI, and it's so crazy, man. It's so crazy. My guy Smitty with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. He says, okay, come on, man. Happy 40th birthday. You didn't do all that, man. Could you guys trust Sorsby if he's your quarterback? That's a good question. We'll definitely talk about that. That can mess up the money for other players when it comes to incentives. You got jokes, Smitty, but I'll let them slide from you because you're my guy, man. I appreciate you, brother, and all you do supporting our show and chiming in and calling in. We appreciate you, bro. That's a good question. We'll talk about that. We'll answer that, and we'll ask everybody else their thoughts on that. Could you trust Sorsby as your quarterback? Well, it's going to be a professional team, number one, because he, as you guys already know, before I jump the gun, he won't be playing.
Sorsby going in the supplemental draft.
Yeah, I'm going to bring that up here. And before we come back, Miss Lisa Rawls, thank you so much. I know you always are in the chat.
That's it, Lisa. That's it, Lisa.
Tithing as requested by the pastor. Not sure why my phone won't let me select $5 even. No worries. Just listen. Thank you so much for being
We
here.
gave you a discount, Lisa. We gave you a discount.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
I saw Lisa Raw. That girl's in some shape now. That girl just work out.
Well, that's why it's Lisa. Oh, Lisa Raw. Excuse me. Lisa Raw is fit.
Yeah, I
Not
see the
Rawls. I'm
picture
sorry.
somewhere.
Or wait, maybe it is Rawls.
That's
Lisa Rawls.
Rawls.
Yeah,
But
that's right.
she
It's
is
Rawls.
Miss Rawls is rocked up.
I know. She needs to give us a workout plan. She might have an ebook. Speaking of ebooks and writing books, she needs to write one. No, I've seen that. And she's a diehard Bama fan for sure. I'll give her that much. So she spends a lot of time watching football, but also in the gym. So I respect it, man. She's got her priorities straight. Thank you so much, Lisa. I'm going to bring us back, guys. Here we go. And welcome back into this Talkin' Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Sorry if I get my words out. I had to clear my throat there. All right, we got to talk about this Sorsby situation again. We're joined by the pastor Payne. My Aunt Juan is riding shotgun with him, and we got Reed, of course, behind the glass. But Brandon Sorsby, the saga continues to be even more dramatic. What we talked about yesterday, the Big 12 had come out and they basically said, hey, we heard the Attorney General from the state of Texas basically threatened anybody that wanted to take action against Texas Tech for continuing with playing Brandon Sorsby, the transfer out of Cincinnati, I believe, who was initially ruled ineligible by the NCAA after being found to participate in gambling throughout his college career, not only just gambling on random sports, but also including his own team, which he was a part of, up to or more than $90,000 had been gambled by Mr. Sorsby. We have followed the whole cases, the injunctions. He was ruled eligible via an injunction from a small court in Lubbock, Texas, where Texas Tech is. That caused a lot of outrage. We had schools coming out saying, hey, we're just not going to schedule Texas Tech. And they weren't even just talking about football. It wasn't limited to just one sport. I think it was various sports. People were planning on taking action themselves. There was a lot of tit for tat. But finally, it seems like we've I guess come up with our final resolution here, and it ended up being on Sorsby's behalf himself. I guess him and Texas Tech. Last night, this whole saga took a wild turn, an unexpected turn, when it was announced that Brendan Sorsby and Texas Tech had agreed to mutually part ways, which nobody was expecting at all. At least I don't think anybody was. I didn't hear anything about it, which means he will, in fact, not be playing college football for the 2026 season. So with that being said, we got to discuss this because I've seen a number of reactions. There's a lot of people in the college sports world that are celebrating this. They feel like it's a win for college athletics, or, you know, you look at it and if it's felt like we've been taking L after L. There was just, no, I guess, guidelines, no judgment. I mean, you couldn't really have anything under control, but now it seems like this was a little win for college athletics, man. And I don't know, but some details regarding this. I'll read some of this from the articles that I have pulled up. We got one from On3. Look, there's a lot to cover, but I'll just kind of skim through it. So basically, I guess after all the backlash, I mean, Texas Tech put out a podcast video trying to explain themselves and what they were doing. I think it just became too much for both parties, leading to them agreeing to, mutually part ways, which now his next steps will be he will enter the NFL supplemental draft, applying for it after parting ways with the school. Tom Pelissero reports that Sorsby plans to drop his college eligibility suit today. That would make him eligible for the supplemental draft as a player who exhausted college eligibility. Now, remember, he was on a time crunch as well with this whole supplemental draft, so I think that probably also played a role in the decision to just kind of just do away with, I guess, trying to play in 2026 after all the heat. But I want to ask, I guess, the Pastor Payne's opinion on this, because we didn't even talk about this since you haven't been on the show in a while. I don't know if you even kept up with this. And I think it was Smitty that had a good question. What did you make of this whole situation? Like, going back to the beginning when we first found out that Texas Tech transfer quarterback Brendan Sorsby had, in fact, placed over $90,000 in bet on his own team that he was a part of. What did you make out of it? And in him getting the injunction and him initially being eligible again to play college football after committing the one cardinal sin in athletics, which as good as I do not bet, especially like on your own team. Like that's always been a huge no in athletics.
Yeah.
What did you feel about the whole situation before he ended up mutually parting ways, and then now with the decision to enter that supplemental draft?
Well, I think, first of all, you're an idiot for even thinking that you can do that and get away with it. And you're betting on your own team, which means if you're betting for your team to win and or lose when you have control to affect either way, it's just, it's such a awful character situation from a young man. I get sometimes these guys who step out and bet on baseball or bet on something different, a different sport, whatever. Okay, you messed up. I could get that, but when you bet on your own team, that is a huge problem for me. And the fact that David allowed him or came up with the answer that he should be able to play tells you the character behind everything else, judicial systems, and that's ridiculous. So I don't blame like the Georgia AD and others who said we're canceling them, we're not playing them. This dude have cheated on betting on his own team. And you're gonna allow him to play that? That to me, it's just ridiculous. So I'm glad that somebody, whether it be him or somebody, talked him into saying, listen, man, move on. If you can play pro ball, go try it. Go in the supplemental draft. Don't cause this type of issue, because this would have been a firestorm had he continued to go about it the way that they were. And I think it just would have affected college football in a way that who else is going to do it next? This guy could get away with it. If he can get away with gambling on his own team, what else? What is the next guy? What are you saying? What message are you sending to college athletics? So, yeah, the whole thing is stupid. He's an absolute idiot for doing what he did.
Well, hold on. Well, before you go further, they did say that he had a pretty serious gambling addiction and that he was diagnosed clinically with that. And I hear you out. And because here's my thing, you know better than anybody that listen. I'm an advocate for mental health. Like I believe that anybody and everybody should reach out and get all that they need, and you should take it serious. But I'm with you to the point where I've been saying this whole time. You can, because Texas Tech, basically their perspective was, hey, we're going to stand behind our student athlete, and he's got an issue that he went to I think it was an inpatient rehab for like almost a month, all this stuff. So I respect all that, but my biggest thing was you can do all that and help him out in all those ways without forcing him to be eligible, which that to me was disrupting the integrity of the game. Like you said, we all know in sports, man, that's like the one cardinal sin, man. And I get it. What's crazy was, I don't know if you saw this, Texas Tech went to length saying, well, you've got Georgia players getting DUIs. You've got the situation that went down at Penn State, but nobody boycotted them. And I'm like, of course, all those things are wrong, right? No, wrong is wrong, but that wasn't directly affecting the integrity of the game. If I had to guess, and I don't know if they detailed kind of whose decision. It said mutually. I'm sure Texas Tech just started to feel the heat. There's probably some people behind the scenes saying, hey, man, like this is getting a little out of control. Is it really worth it? And I think eventually, they probably came up with that decision. But I'm with you, though. It's hearing some of his excuses. One of his excuses was he wanted to feel closer to his teammates. So that was why he decided to bet on games. The craziest thing. Yeah, that was one of his excuses when they were having the lawsuit. He said, he wasn't playing a whole bunch. So that was one of his ways of feeling more connected, establishing more of a camaraderie. So, with him saying that, it's kind of like, what is true? Is it really some serious gambling addiction? There's probably a little bit of both, but I think this is probably the best decision because I just don't think it was going to be worth it for them to allow him to play. I do know that Cody Campbell, the big-time booster from Texas Tech, remember this guy was allegedly being paid $5 million to play for Texas Tech this upcoming season. They have put out that they will not they don't anticipate trying to go after any money that they anticipated to pay him. So I don't think that's probably the entirety.
Wait a minute, hold on. Hold the freak on.
Wait.
So
Let me just say that. Let me just say this
Okay.
real quick, because we know how NIL works, right? They're 1-year contracts, and you don't get a lump sum, right? So if you agree to make $700,000, they don't just give you $700,000 one night and that's it.
Right.
You play. Normally, it's you get a signing bonus, some upfront money, and then they have monthly installments. So if I had to guess, he probably got 7 figures up front, and then was scheduled to probably make 6 figures monthly. So he probably still going to walk away with a couple $1 million, but he's not going to have the whole $5 million. But Texas Tech announced that they will not be going after any of that money that he was going to make, at least from this point on. They're clearly not going to pay him the entirety of it. So if you think about it, for him to get a couple $1 million and enter his name in the supplemental draft, here are a couple names that some popular NFL names that were part of the supplemental draft.
Well,
Josh Gordon in 2012, second round. Chris Carter, your former teammate with the Vikings, 4th round pick in the supplemental draft in 87. Brian Bosworth, 1st round 1987, and Terrell Pryor, 3rd round in 2011.
I had a teammate, Dave Brown, quarterback, 1st round that we drafted 92 or 93, the supplemental from Duke, 6'5" quarterback, played for Steve Spurrier back in the day when he was at Duke University. So yeah, I mean, there's been some guys come through that. But listen, let me just say this. I mean, I speak about and how awful mental illness is, and young athletes too. So I'm with all of that. Now, I'm on the fence with the gambling thing. Now I know you can get hooked on gambling. I understand that. I was laughing. We just left Greenville, Mississippi, where there are casinos. And I was joking about going to Harlow's and seeing the people in wheelchairs and coming there to hope they're going to make it and hit it big and get out the hood, and people selling their watches. I mean, so I mean, I can call that an addiction. Okay, to me, it's not the same. So I don't know. I think, listen, man, get some help. If you got an addiction problem, a gambling problem, get some help. But you ain't playing no football. I mean, why am I giving you $5 million knowing that you got an addiction to gamble? Right.
It's
So
enabling it.
Huh?
That would be enabling it, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's enabling. And I'm giving you more money to stick out there. I mean, come on. Some things, I get it, right? Somebody asked me just even this weekend when I was sharing about the book and the story. Matter of fact, Richard Berge, who played in the Desperate Housewives, a good friend of mine, he was like, when you drinking, or maybe it was my brother from Megadeth, he was like, well, did you have an addiction? Or I didn't really have no addiction like that. Now, I drank more than I should, right? But I wasn't addicted like that. I didn't need that kind of help. I need some life-changing help, spiritual help. Or Tiger Woods, when he said he had a sexual addiction. Man, Tiger had no sexual addiction. We're going to fly him over to Switzerland. And, I ain't talking about the pill thing. Now, he probably does have an addiction to that. But I'm saying, come on, man. Like, some things still there need to be consequences. And what helps you turn your life around is having to face consequences. God will forgive you. Like saying, God will forgive you, right? But that he doesn't mean that he takes away consequences. The consequences sometimes, that's what gets you back on the right path. You have to experience some darkness in those areas. But I don't know, man. To me, that's a stupid situation. I'm glad that he's moving on. I mean, the fact that you're giving him more money, enabling him to maybe gamble some more. And how in the world that's going to make you feel closer? That now you starting to talk crazy. Now I think you really need some mental help. How you think gambling gonna make you feel? Oh, I'm gonna get closer because I'm not playing as much, so I'm gonna drop 10,000 on the game, right? Because I can get closer and help my quarterback play better, so I can win this 10 stacks. I don't know. I mean, to me, the whole thing is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And the fact that they were going to allow him to play is even more crazy.
Well, you should go back and watch, because it's more than just them allowing him to play. They filmed a 20-minute podcast talking about they have one of the biggest centers for addiction help, I believe it was, at Texas Tech. They were coming out with all these reasons and quote unquote excuses. And I think the biggest thing they were missing was you can offer him all those resources. You can, assist him in any way possible, because I do believe that addiction is a thing. And I do believe mental health definitely deserves to be, tended to, but That does not mean he has to play football. You can do both, right? You can keep him ineligible while also helping him. Lisa has a good question in the chat, though.
They trying to win some games. That they can say
100%.
all of that, but the bottom line, if he can help them win games, it's worth it to them. That just shows you winning trumps everything. If you can play football, you can get away with a lot of different things. That's just the reality of it. If you
100%.
suck, if you're terrible, believe me, they're not having this conversation. If he wasn't able to play, we're not even having this conversation. Let it be the third string of what this addiction. See if they step out and do the same thing. I promise you they won't.
That's a fair point. We got to hit a timeout. We come back. We got a couple good questions. We got one from Lisa talking about how everything that's unraveled now about the young man, how could that affect him and how teams view him? That's a very fair question. We'll talk about that and more when we come back right here on the Miller's Edge. Plus, we got Clint Lamb at the top of the hour from Cover Crimson. We'll get to all that when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Quick timeout.
Listen for hourly.
That's a great question. Now that all that information has come out, I mean, I guess we could just answer it now before we come back. We don't have much time anyway, but how would that affect him in your opinion? I'll be honest, I already know the answer. Whether the NFL wants to admit it or not, they act like they do offer at least the trust in the NFLPA. They do a pretty good job, I would say. But the NFL teams, they'll make it seem like they support guys and all that. I'll be the first one to tell you, it's all a bunch of talk at the end of the day. And we all know they don't like distractions and they don't like dealing with nonsense. So I'll be honest with you, I think it probably could have a somewhat of an effect on how teams view him. Personally, I do. It shouldn't necessarily if it is truly something that he struggles with, but we know how the NFL works. They might feel like it might be a little bit of a head case or a distraction to a team. I mean, do you think this could cause, some hesitation from teams when it comes to?
No doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's truly got an issue, I mean, that's going to be looked at. I mean, you know how deep those tests, the mental tests, the psychological combine, all the things they put you through, and you got this already on record that you got an addiction. Now we're talking about giving you more millions of dollars. Nobody's going to invest in you a ton of money unless they are 150% positive that you are overcome these said situations. It's like alcohol or anything else. I mean, nobody's going to give you a boatload of money when you got these types of issues. So he's not going to be I would think that somebody may take a chance on him, but if they do, it's going to be at a low risk. It won't be a high risk chance. It will be a low risk. I mean, they got too many other issues going on right now in the National Football League. They got too many black eyes from a league, period. So
wait. Oh, you said black eyes. I thought you said too many black eyes. I was like, whoa. I was like, wait, what?
No.
Wait, what? Okay, no. Black eyes. Okay, got you. Sorry.
Black eyes. They got too many, spots that they're dealing with already. So I don't think this guy is going to have an easy road ahead of him, even trying to get to the National Football League, because I think, the severity of what he did, and they've had this issue. They're going to look back at the Pete Rose, all the things that Pete Rose for years couldn't even get to the Hall of Fame. I mean, the guy, that's baseball. That's a whole different other story. I got a whole nother thing on that. But at the same time, I think it's going to be a hard road for him. I don't see him just waltzing into the National Football League with the team and walking into the locker room and even though we're a forgiving society, forgiving country, he's going to have to make sure he has the help that he needs and get past that first before I think he can don himself in the locker room.
And welcome back into this Talkin' Tuesday edition of Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Talking the latest developments in the Sorsby situation, which took a wild turn last night when he, I guess it was announced that him and Texas Tech mutually agreed to part ways. He will now turn his attention to the supplemental draft, which, just a reminder, the way it works is if a team, in fact, does select him or anybody for that matter, they will lose their 2027 pick for whatever round they end up taking him. So if they took him as a second round pick in the supplemental draft, of this year, they would then lose their 2027 second round pick. So we were just talking during the timeout our thoughts on that, because some really good questions from a couple of you guys in the chat. And Elise had mentioned just, with everything that's come out, like how does that affect how teams perceive him in the NFL? Me and my dad agreed that it's definitely going to probably knock him some, because they, the NFL, they don't like distractions. They don't like dealing with nonsense and things like this. And they're definitely going to look deeply into it. Now, if there's a team that feels that he could help them out and they could, like you said it best, if you're a good football player, they'll find ways. And best believe it, there's a team that is invested in him that believes that he could be a good quarterback, which, I mean, he was regarded as like one of the top quarterbacks in the transfer portal. He's a pretty good player. Somebody's probably going to take a chance on him. I would guess maybe like that 4th round spot. But best believe they're probably going to do their due diligence. They're going to do their investigations. And ultimately, they'll probably come up with some type of plan and resources to make sure that he's staying on track. If it is, in fact, as serious as it is, which that's the picture that him and his representation painted. They painted a picture that it's a very serious betting addiction that required inpatient rehab, which, I mean, if teams are worried about that, again, that's kind of the issue now, where, I mean, you played it so big, which maybe it is that big, but if you exaggerate it a little bit just to get eligible, unfortunately, that is probably going to work against you in the National Football League. We got to hit this top of the hour break. When we come back, we joined by Clint Lamb of Cover Crimson right here on this Talkin' Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230. WTBC, quick timeout. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We got the Pastor of Pain back here on the show. We keep on rolling in just a minute. We're going to get to some Alabama talk here in a second, because I think QD or one of you guys or several of you mentioned it in the chat, but 2 conversations that I want to bring up. One, Josh Pate gave his record prediction for Alabama for 2026. I want to go over that. I think that'll be a good conversation. I know we've had a couple of those now, but always got to revisit it when somebody else chimes in. And also, Chris Lowe, good friend of ours on the show, did his SEC football head coaches rankings. So we want to talk a little bit about that as well. Smitty, you said didn't answer my question. Oh, I'm sorry, Smitty. That was would we trust him as our quarterback? I'll answer first. I think a lot would depend on me knowing, as much as I would know about the situation. Meaning, like, I think it would be important for him to address the team, right? Like in a team meeting, him basically come out, share all the details, right? Give us an idea on kind of what it was. Was it really an addiction thing? Was it him just kind of fooling around and kind of, I don't know. I think it would be important to kind of hear directly from him, upfront and honest. And then I think we can kind of go from there. But in terms of like trusting him, like if the dude can play ball, he can play ball, right? And I know those kind of decisions could definitely reflect the decisions that he would make on a football field. I could totally understand people having that opinion. But if I'm being honest with you, if the guy told me, hey, I was struggling with this, I've addressed it, I'm seeking resources and help and all that, I would trust him to be my quarterback. Now, if it happened again, that's when I would start having issues. But if he transferred to us and basically said, hey, I was dealing with this, I'm doing a lot better now, I've sought help, I'm in a much better spot now, I'm ready to roll, I would be okay with it. Would you be able to trust him as your quarterback? I don't think I would have too much concern if it was.
I wouldn't have a problem with it, because I know, listen, when I was in the league, LT, Mark Jackson, many guys, they all gambled. It was, casino. That's just what it was. So I think one of the most forgiving places will be the locker room. Those guys going to be like, they don't really give a rip. Can you help them win games?
Right.
Can you go out there and do your job? And guys, that's all they're going to look at. Nobody's going to be sitting around. It's going to be the press that really is going to engage in all the other stuff. But from a locker room perspective, and I know people are going to say, but what about his character? Listen, there's so many flawed characters in the whole locker rooms and in other ways that you may not even know about. You know, all you care about, can the guy go out there and make play? You know, can I trust him to do the right thing in a game? And if he can do that, all the other stuff gets overlooked. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And I don't think guys really care that much about it if he can go out there and make plays.
No, I agree. That's what I was saying. As long as he kind of owned up to it and just said he put it behind him, it's not going to be something that's going to be a distraction that we're dealing with. I don't think it would be too much of an issue for a team. But I think, you know, the ownership or you know, the people in those positions might have more concern just because, I mean, that's an investment on their part.
Right.
And it's a little bit different than the teammates versus, you know what I mean, the coaches, the GMs and all that. But that's a good question, though. Very good question. Let me bring us back. We got Clint Lamb joining us. And welcome back into this Talkin' Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We got hour number 2 kicking off with our guest, Clint Lamb of Cover Crimson, who joins us weekly, giving his perspectives on all things Alabama. And, of course, some other stuff when it comes up, even though Clint likes to stick to his X's and O's, which I don't blame him. But, Clint, man, well, one last time, we got to ask you something that's a little bit outside of that, man. Brendan Sorsby, the whole saga took a wild turn last night. First and foremost, welcome in. I hope you're doing well, brother. But we'd love to get your thoughts on that whole twist because it kind of shocked pretty much everybody that I'm aware of. How you doing, brother? And what'd you think of that whole situation?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I'm doing fantastic, Christian. Appreciate you having me on as always. But I'm glad it kind of came to the resolution that it did. I think that was a must for college football. It would have made for a very messy offseason. It would have dominated the news if I had to guess, or continued to dominate the news, especially with the back and forth. You hate it for Brendan Sorsby in a way because you understand it's an addiction, but at the same time he made a mistake, and you got to pay the consequences, and that's moving on to the supplemental draft. So we'll see what happens on that front.
Do you believe that this is a win for college football? Would you call it? I know some people were kind of summing it up as that. It felt like, man, like with all these injunctions and all the NIL news, it's like, man, it seems like it's just L after L for the sport. But this kind of feels like a little positive momentum. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I think this had to happen. Like I said, I mean, just with where the sport's at, you know, a lot of times you sue and you get your way. And technically he did. He exploited the system like a lot of other people have. But the fact that there was so much pushback from people and, you know, some pressure from various places, it kind of forced both Texas Tech and Brendan Sorsby to, you know, go in different directions. And I will say Will Hammond's a good quarterback. I think he's going to end up being, once he's able to return from injury, I still think Texas Tech is going to be a really good football team. Still think they're obviously, you know, the favorites to win the Big 12. But just from the importance of you know, this situation to the sport, this to me had to happen. And so I'm glad that it did.
Absolutely. We're joined by Clint Lamb of Cover Crimson. Make sure you guys check out all the good work that they're doing. You can catch them on all your podcast platforms, of course, on X as well, and Clint's personal at Clint R. Lamb. Clint, let's talk some football, man, especially Alabama. I got a quick question about some recruiting news, man. Over the weekend, Alabama loses a linebacker commit and Kenneth Simon, a legacy from Tennessee. Father played for Tennessee at Rocky Top, and he ended up flipping back there. Now leaves Alabama. I don't think they have any linebacker commits or even edge commits right now. Which my question to you is, where do you feel like Alabama stands right now with recruiting? I know there's a lot of people that have voiced some concerns. I know you've been covering on it. You've been trying to calm them down a little bit, kind of put out some of the fires. People are seeing the rankings, and they're just seeing some of the activity from other schools. They're not seeing as much from Alabama. Still pretty early, right? I know it's only June. But where does Alabama go? Number one is recruiting-wise, and two, even more specifically, at linebacker or at edge. I know we've talked about this a little bit, but now it just seems like I don't even – and maybe you know better than I do. I don't know – maybe you know targets better than I do. Any other linebacker names? I'll tell you one. Isaac McNeil, I think Calvin, who's in our chat, he's every day he's hammering me to go look at him. I watch his tape. I love the tape, Clint. I absolutely love it. He's physical. He plays downhill. Probably not the same type of athlete as Kenneth Simon, a little bit more different. Both those guys seem like good, versatile guys, but McNeil was more like, you know, played off the ball, but also on the edge. Simon, I thought he almost could have been, you know,
Hey, Quint, you still with us?
Yeah.
All right, give Christian just 1 second. He just froze, and yeah, give him just 1 second here.
No problem.
Where does Alabama go? Do you see them trying to?
Quint, did you happen to catch Christian's question at all?
Oh yeah, sorry guys.
Here we go.
I
Now he's
cut
back.
out. I apologize. Clint, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, brother.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I just was saying, where do you think Alabama goes from here? Do you think they pursue a guy like Isaac McNeil who's committed to Auburn? Is there anybody else that you've heard maybe at the linebacker spot or edge spot? I know Tyler Younger is a guy that I've got to watch a little bit of. I'm impressed with him, a little bit more of an under the radar, project type of player. Where does Alabama go from here, Clint?
Yeah, I think that it's kind of the off-ball linebacker spot to me. I kind of compare it in some ways to the transfer portal running backs this past cycle, in the sense of Alabama had specific guys that they liked, and Hollywood Smothers and Raleek Brown. They went after both, but then when they got the commitment from Hollywood Smothers, they ended up losing out to Raleek Brown to Texas, and then of course Texas then goes after Hollywood Smothers and gets him as well. But a lot of fans, they took their pursuit of those guys, especially Hollywood Smothers, as this signal that Alabama really felt like it needed to upgrade its running back room. I certainly think that there was an emphasis on improving the run game, but I don't think it was this emphasis on, hey, we don't have a lot of talent, or we don't like the guys who are in that room, especially with E.J. Crowell coming in. We need to go get somebody else. It was more so we really like these guys. We feel like they can help as far as some of the elements at that position that maybe we were missing in 2025. And once those pursuits kind of failed, they didn't feel the need to go after anybody else in the transfer portal. They did end up getting Khalifa Keith, but that was more of a body. They wanted 6 running backs to make sure from a depth standpoint they were in a good place, but they didn't feel this need to go get any other running backs. They just liked those specific guys. I think that's kind of the approach with the high school off-ball linebackers, where it's more so they really like Kenneth Simon. They've liked some of these other guys too, don't get me wrong. But with the youth in that room, I mean, it's possible that the entire off-ball linebacker room could be back in 2027 if that 5-for-5 passes and Caleb Woodson is able to come back. Now, it's possible that, that doesn't pass. It's possible that he elects to go to the NFL after this season, but it is theoretically possible. And then you've got a lot of young guys. QB Reese has still got multiple years, even after 2026, of eligibility. You've got, that group with Luke Metz and Abdul Sanders and Duke Johnson. And then you've got Caden Jones. So they and of course Xavier Griffin too, and they certainly didn't pay him and bring him in to be a guy who sits for multiple years. So whether he plays or not as a true freshman, he's going to be on the field, as long as he kind of lives up to the expectations in 2027, no doubt in my mind. So they're looking at that room and saying, well, we loved the talent in Kenneth Simon, but I don't think they feel pressed to go and find, if they can find somebody, which they have done a very good job of identifying players who are lower rated, who end up climbing in the rankings. We've seen it with, Keelan Russell. We saw it with Jet Tomlow. We saw it with Michael Carroll. We saw it, to at least some extent, with Jackson Lloyd. They've done this time and time again. So if they identify a player who's in his senior year and starting to kind of, snowball a little bit, then that could be someone that we're not even talking about right now who they end up going after. I just don't think that the panic level from the fans versus the panic level from the coaching staff are in two very different places. And so as far as the edge is concerned, obviously you missed on Frederick Ards. I think the coaching staff really would like to have had that talent. They felt like he was more ready to contribute in year one, which if they're going to pay up on somebody, they don't want to bring somebody in, pay him for a year, significant money, and then sit him on the bench. And then, they're going to want more money the following off season when they didn't contribute, or they're going to end up leaving in the transfer portal if someone gives them a big enough offer and gets them in the portal. So, they missed on Ards. Obviously, they didn't feel like KJ Green, despite the fact he's really talented. I think he's eventually going to be a really good player for LSU. They didn't feel the need to go out and pay him substantial money because they didn't think he was going to contribute in year one. But they lose on all those guys. And so now you're looking at Antoine Jackson, who's more of a bandit to me. Could end up maybe playing some Wolf, but, they're looking at some of these lower rated guys right now and more developmental pieces, because I think they do plan to go to the transfer portal and add a piece to kind of complement or go along with what they're going to have in Justin Hill and Jamarian Matthews, possibly, getting some edge reps from Xavier Griffin. And, it's a concern because it's an unknown. I mean, they definitely will have to get it solved before 2027, especially if you lose Yandere Pierre. But I think now the approach is more, it's not, if we don't go get a bunch of high school kids each and every year, premier players, there's going to be a gap where in 2 or 3 years, you're going to have a problem with your depth chart or whatever. They looking at it and they're saying we've stacked really young classes. They're growing and developing together. But now we can go and kind of complement maybe that transfer portal a little bit. And if you end up in a desperate spot, you can always go to the transfer portal and get more immediate guys to kind of hold you over as you replenish some of that young depth. So I think that's more so been the approach. I understand that it just looks way different than it's ever looked, but I can't tell you definitively that this is the correct way, but I understand the vision, and I'm going to wait and see how it plays out.
Clint, I guess my biggest question is, so we understand that they wanted to take a smaller class, but when you look at just like the caliber of players, which I don't put too much stock into where guys rank, but I still understand that, when you look at the top players right now, I think we only have maybe one with Elijah Haven and I guess Seaborn. Yeah, I guess those two guys, really. The rest are, like you said, they're more project players. They're definitely a little bit, or maybe Newkirk as well. You could throw him in there. My biggest question is the numbers I understand, but in terms of like the caliber, right? And I totally understand the point. That makes perfect sense. Like, you don't want to pay a bunch of money to a guy that you don't anticipate making an immediate, I guess, contribution. But for some of these other guys, Clint, that I look at, like on the rankings or the ratings for high school, I mean, there's just some guys that I just feel like, I mean, you couldn't tell me that they couldn't make a pretty immediate impact. What about those guys? Do you think Alabama just didn't target those guys? Because you also mentioned, like, setting yourself up. I also wonder if you're too reserved and take too many project players right now, maybe you're kind of playing catch up a couple years down the road. You see what I'm saying? Like, do you ever, question that at all, or you think that's not a problem?
Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying, and we'll just have to wait and see kind of how it ends up playing out. I think the portal, if you find yourself in that situation in the future, like, you can not only revamp, but like you can really look at what they did with the offensive line. Granted, a huge chunk of that was some promising young players in that 2026 cycle, but a lot of it too was through the transfer portal. And if they didn't have, as many or any of those players that they had got from the high school ranks, from a depth standpoint, that might have impacted things for sure. But you could get yourself held over until you can maybe replenish some of that stuff, and you can go to the portal multiple years in a row. I think right now there's more of a shift towards, they understand what the roster is going to look like in 2027, or what they're anticipating it to look like. And there's going to be more of an emphasis on experience and kind of stacking on that, and having, ready-made guys. As I said, I understand it, but if you bring in a bunch of players and you're paying them substantial money, because you got to pay them substantial money, that's what they're going to command. And then, there's no clear path to really, any sort of significant role. And you can talk about even the gaps that they have. It's not like when they lose Yandere, they have nothing at the Wolf position. Certainly you want to replenish that depth, and from a depth standpoint, you do. But from the standpoint of, you still got Justin Hill, Jamarian Matthews is a former top 50 or 60 player, has been playing Wolf. You've got a former 5-star that can play it. And, you're recruiting some of these lower rated players that have some potential, developmental potential. And then you go to the transfer portal and you sign, a rotational Wolf that's, a Jordan Ross type of player. I mean, that room, it gets pretty healthy again. And so, like I said, I understand where there would be some concerns as far as how it's being built, but with the portal and the way that it operates now, and the way that you can kind of mask, you've got people who are joining with programs, new head coaches coming in, spending a bunch of money, and they're flipping and turning over a roster in one single off season. Let me look at LSU. From whether it be the high school side of it or the transfer portal, that roster looks completely different. A lot of people are picking them to be one of the best teams in the SEC. And so I'm not saying that Alabama would want to spend that type of money, but you always have the transfer portal as an option to fill in any holes. And if you're paying a bunch of these young players and you don't really anticipate them coming in and contributing, especially if money is the primary, like, they're entertaining a lot of these guys if they feel like relationships are still really important to them. But if money's the primary and you bring them in and you spend all this time, having them sit, learn, develop, and then you start getting to, next year, they want more money. People are trying to get them into the transfer portal, and you might end up losing that player, having invested a lot of resources and money, and then you don't even get the benefit. And the one that I keep using as an example is, do we think Michigan is happy with the Ty Haywood investment last year? They spent a lot of money pulling him away from Alabama, and they got nothing out of him. He redshirted, and then he ended up in Tuscaloosa anyways, and they spent a year developing him and paid him a ton of money. Alabama's trying to avoid those types of situations. Do I think that Michigan is now, screwed or have screwed themselves because they paid him that money? No, but it was wasted money. So, just like if, I still think Michigan's in fine shape, and I think Alabama's in fine shape. We're kind of taking more of, different approaches to some of this. But Alabama's trying to be smart with their money, and the primary is they're not going to take care of somebody else outside of the building before they take care of the guys inside the building. And eventually, that type of approach and taking care of your own is going to, that's going to catch more and more traction, because a lot of these kids, it's like, yeah, I'll get this initial payday from this school, but then when I get there, are they going to take care of me the same way? Or am I one of those, we got this kid, we don't really have to, he's going to become very secondary compared to adding or acquiring more talent. You don't want guys feeling that way. So I think just from a culture standpoint, it's smart, but it is different, and we are going to have to wait and see how it plays out.
Yeah, no, and like I said, I understand, majority of what the points that you're making, they make sense. I think it's just, for me, the one thing that just continues to just I question is, for us being a top program, and it's conflicting, right, Clint? Because one minute we hear, Alabama doesn't have that type of money to spend, but then on the other, we hear, oh, Alabama does have money. Money's not an issue. It's just their choice. It's the decision that they're making. And then I look at other top programs, and I'm seeing how active they are in the portal while also being extremely active in recruiting. And I feel like they retain pretty well as well. And it feels like we're one of the few premier programs that are taking this approach in this cycle right now, which I get it. Our roster's young, so I get it to an extent. But it's just the one thing about where I'm just like, man, out of all these top recruits, we can't find any of those guys that we feel are worthy to pay a little bit of money to this season. I don't know. I can't really wrap my head around that part.
Sonny Gales is a top 50, recruit. I think he's going to climb the rankings after being the MVP of that, whatever you want to call it, 7-on-7 tournament this past weekend. You got Mitchell Turner, who Alabama seems to be in pretty good shape for. He's a top 60 player. I think things are going to kind of build a little bit. Antoine Jackson, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, he took a visit to Missouri. I think the visit went well, but still think Alabama's in really good position for him. Like, they got some guys, and I understand Antoine Jackson he's kind of that tweener between. He's really not the type of guy you're talking about, but he's also not one of those, lower rated, more developmental pieces. I think he's kind of between those two tiers. But this is just, you start stacking some of those players, and you start, I guarantee you more guys are going to emerge over the course of this next calendar year, or really, I guess, 6 months. It's not a year. But then also the flips are happening all the time. So just kind of what I'm doing is I'm waiting to see how it plays out. It was expected to be a smaller class. They weren't going to pay up on a bunch of guys that the philosophies may be different, but Alabama is very much in the camp of, if they're going to pay you money, especially if you got a kid asking for 7-figure money, if he steps on campus, really, if he's just in high school and you promised him that money, he hadn't even arrived on campus yet, and he's already your 5th or 6th highest paid player on the roster, that's not good from, the health of the guys who are on your roster. But then also if you're not expecting big contributions from him, then that is wasted money, because who's to say that kid, a KJ Green, maybe by the time Alabama actually has a significant need for an edge, maybe he's in the transfer portal, and then LSU wasted the time developing him and paying him all the money, and then you end up reaping the benefit, because then that's when you elect to go pay him. So I understand, like I said, there's just right now I see the logic, and I see it both ways. I'm not going to stand up here and stick a flag in the ground and say their way's wrong, because I don't know. It makes sense from a culture standpoint and stuff, but I still think they're trying to learn how to navigate some of this stuff just like we all are. And one of the lessons I think they learned was that they were putting all of their eggs, or at least a huge chunk of them, in the high school basket. And they're learning, from Indiana and a lot of those playoff teams. There were older teams had a lot of experience, spent a little bit in the portal. And so I don't think whole they will be willing to be a lot more competitive. And I think that's, them trying to adjust and calculate and wait and see how it plays out.
Yeah, and I hate to sound like we're beating a dead horse here. I genuinely, when I tell you, I'm like, man, I'm trying to understand the last piece, man. I'm like, I understand everything else. I'm like, it makes total sense. But I'm like, it's one piece that I still can't fully grasp. But like you said, I think time will definitely answer all of that. And to be fair, the portal will. Go ahead.
I will say, if we're having these types of conversations one calendar year from now, if they're having some of the same struggles and for the 2028 cycle that we think that they are, currently in the 2027, that's when I will fully say there's a problem. If it's a 1 year thing and it's like, hey, we just how things are lining up, we want to put all of our funds or a huge chunk towards retention and portal and take a smaller class. If it's a one-time thing because of how you've done the last 2 years, I'm willing to give you some grace to see how that works out because that makes sense. But if we're having these same conversations a year from now, that's when I will officially say, okay, something's not working, and I think Alabama's in trouble because you can't stack this type of class. But I do think if it's a one-off, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world if you are evaluating correctly and still adding some pieces to end up being better players, and the players that you are paying, you're getting the most out of them.
No, I agree 100%. And to your point, I mean, you always can fall back on the portal, even if it's intentional or this reality was they swung and they missed a lot. They can always swing again when the portal comes. Like you said, even if it's young players just to get or replace depth that they might need, there's always that option. So regardless, either way, whether it's intentional or it's unintentional, they have a second opportunity. So I think that's something fans should remember. It's, you've got plenty of time, like you said, even with this cycle, for flips to happen and a number of other movements along the way. Clint, before we let you run, man, I saw that you mentioned that you're doing some player rankings. I think you and Jimmy got a video coming soon, man. You want to give us a quick little teaser? You ain't got to give us a whole rundown, but kind of what you're brewing up with that whole thing.
Oh, I'm loving it, man. Just to me, one of the things by doing it, because sometimes you reach a point where it's kind of vibes, and I know that's not what you want to hear, but it's kind of a combination of how impactful do I think they're going to be in 2026, the overall talent, whether that be college, sometimes maybe a guy who's a better college player than he is an NFL talent, but it's looking at talent from the both aspects. It's talking about how much are they going to be on the field. It's like a combination of a lot of factors. So to say that there's this exact formula or science to it, that's not the case here. But as I'm working my way through it, what it's kind of forcing me to do is actually stick some flags in the ground and actually make some predictions that I think people are going to enjoy. Like, hey, I've said I really like Trayshawn Brown, but where exactly am I willing to predict he's going to finish in the pecking order amongst the running backs? Or you've talked about maybe Xavier Griffin having a situational role as a pass rusher. Are you willing to stick that flag in the ground and actually predict that is going to happen? Because when you're ranking players, if he gets that situational role, it can be pretty impactful. It will need to be on efficiency because I don't think it'll lead to a ton of snaps, but that will absolutely change his ranking. So where I have him ranked is going to reflect whether I think he's actually going to end up in that type of role, or guys like Steve Boomlaw, the defensive line deep. I mean, how far am I willing to put him up that depth chart? Nolan Wilson being a summer enrollee, but I really like the talent. I think he does contribute. Am I willing to put him ahead of Jamarian Latham or Cavante Henry? As bandit 3 behind Des Zulu and Devin Tompkins. As I was working my way through this, I started having a lot of fun with it, as far as kind of forcing me to make some actual decisions. And so I'm looking forward to kind of releasing that. I did a share on our show earlier that EJ Crowell did end up being my highest ranked freshman. And I'm not going to tell you where he's at, but, I was debating. And one of the questions that was asked was, hey, who do you think has the bigger impact in year one? Is it Cedarian Morgan or is it EJ Crowell? And my answer was Cedarian Morgan is the safer bet. His path to, wide receiver 3 and getting consistent usage and maybe even being a guy who starts pretty consistently is a lot better than maybe EJ Crowell becoming Alabama's starting running back and getting more of a consistent workload. And he was around in the spring, which helps. But I think the ceiling there, if you're talking about, the biggest impact and kind of the one, if you want to take a risk, EJ Crowell is the one. And I ultimately decided that I think EJ Crowell is going to be that guy. So looking forward to sharing those rankings for sure, man.
We'll definitely be on the lookout, and they can catch those rankings, of course, on y'all's YouTube channel, right? Fill everybody in and just remind them where they can catch all the good work you guys are doing.
Absolutely. You can catch me on the Cover Crimson YouTube channel if you like watching and following along, or you can search the Cover Crimson Podcast Network on Apple, Spotify, or wherever, and you can follow us along if you'd rather go that route. So once again, Christian, as always, brother, I appreciate you having me on, and I look forward to next week.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully, and you're dropping the rankings this week, right? So I'll take a listen to it, and I can ask you about them next week. Is that right?
Oh yeah, we'll be. So what I'll be doing is probably dropping. So what I did was I ranked the top 50 players. Just kind of, you want to leave some wiggle room, and then I'll be doing probably 4 or 5 a day, multiple times a week. So we'll be getting into this list pretty good as we work our way through these next couple of weeks.
Sounds like a plan. We'll definitely discuss it. I'll leave the recruiting talk behind. I know we're beating a dead horse. I genuinely, I'm asking you, Clint, because I'm dead serious. I'm like, man, I need somebody to help me understand. I respect your opinion, so that's all it is. But we'll talk some rankings next week. How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds fantastic, brother. It was good talking to you, man. And once again, I look forward to next week.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, man. Always a pleasure, Clint.
Absolutely, brother.
Yes, sir. Good deal. Our guy, Clint Lamb of Cover Crimson. We got to hit a timeout. We come back. We keep on rolling right here on the Miller's Edge, Title 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
Listen hourly for Tuscaloosa Thread local news update.
Sorry, guys. I got kicked out, man. I don't know what happened. I was just listening to Clint, and all of a sudden it kicked me out. All right, let me throw this back on the screen as well. Whoops. Whoa. I don't know what's going on with the system. All right. There we go. We'll do that for a second. All right, perfect, Reed. Yeah, we'll do this one short. Thank you. See what you guys said in the chat while we were talking with Clint. Agent, what's up, man? Join the 40s. Whoa. Where y'all getting this 40 number from, man? Who is saying 40? Who said 40? Wait, let me see. I'm trying to catch up to what you guys were saying. Bama's likely record will be 9-3. Oh, yeah, we got to talk about that. Just feel DeBoer will lose one game he's not supposed to lose. KJ Green shows promise at Florida. I think KJ Green committed to LSU, right? Or is that somebody else? Am I mixing him up with somebody else? Is that the edge guy committed to LSU or no? I get a lot of these guys confused, man. I'm sorry. Clint's exactly right. It's a level of urgency from the coaching staff that's the issue. I know fans are fans, but we've already seen too many times the staff be passive and not urgent enough. I will say, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you know, they're living it each and every day, so I'm not going to ever act like I know more than they do. But I will agree that there has been times where I felt like we weren't urgent enough in various aspects too. I mean, whether there's been moments in games where I kind of felt like there's a little bit of that lack of sense of urgency. I know even just kind of like, and I'll be honest, because I mean, I'm pretty plugged in with kind of what's going on. So I mean, I might not say it on here. I might act a little oblivious sometimes, but a lot of stuff that I know it goes on that is kind of, you know, whatever. And that said, I will agree. I think sometimes there does sometimes feel like there's a little passiveness, but everybody has their way of doing things. I mean, just got to kind of see how it plays out. Need to spend big on defensive linemen. They play early now. And good teams keep a platoon. Yeah, I agree. And that's kind of like, and I know I kept asking Clint what felt like the same thing, but I'm just like, man, when I'm looking at these recruiting rankings, which again, I don't think it's just all about rankings, but I also understand that there are going to be a number of good players in those higher rankings. And so when I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, I understand we're taking a smaller class. Check that box. I understand not wanting to overpay for guys that you feel are more projects or need to develop. Check that box. I understand all that. But the part that I just don't understand well is I know for a fact there's players that we could have targeted that are A, early contributor type players, and B, I don't know. I mean, probably weren't charging. It's not like every single person in the top 150 are out of the price range. So for I guess my biggest question is, and then he had a point. I mean, we're predicted to at least land 2 of those guys. So I guess if you're only taking, I don't know. Well, I got to bring us back. But if you have 4 out of 16, I mean, that's, I guess maybe a little bit better. I don't know. I think it's just, to me, I don't see other programs having to do this, but I'm like, we just were told money's not the main issue like it was presented to be initially. So if that's not the case, then something's not adding up to me. And welcome back into this Talkin' Tuesday edition of Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Big thanks to our guy Clint Lamb of Cover Crimson who just joined us. But hey, quick reminder about our friends over at Lamparello Law, Education and Advocacy. If you guys haven't already, check them out right now, lamparello-law.com. Again, that representation that Adam provides is first class. It is affordable. That is a big deal, right? Especially nowadays, man, it's tough, especially those types of services. They get expensive, but Adam and his team at Lamparello Law, Education and Advocacy will do it at a very affordable rate. They'll beat out the competitor. You can go schedule a consultation and learn more on their website, lamparello-law.com. That includes any criminal defense matter, academic misconduct issues, NIL cases, you name it, they cover. And of course, all those extra services like academic and career planning, subject matter mastery, or even exam and test taking preparation for high school, college, or graduate students. So make sure you guys take advantage of that today at lamparello-law.com. And of course, for free legal advice, you can always tune in to Adam's new YouTube channel, Lamparello Law, here on YouTube as well. All right. That being said, we got a quick one right here. Reed, I want to ask you real quick. I know the Pastor Payne is taking care of some business real quick. So I want to turn it to you because I know you haven't been on here in a minute. Do you share any of that? Where do you stand when it comes to Alabama recruiting? I don't know if you keep up with it a whole bunch, but there's been a big talk right now, and it's still June. It's still early, but there's a lot of people that see kind of where we're at. They've seen some of the moves that have happened, right? And there's some concerns. But we just heard from Clint, again, a lot of very good points, which I think a lot of this really is probably calculated on the staff's behalf. But I also think there's a good bit of it that's probably not. That seems that they might be scrambling just a little bit, and that's okay. That happens sometimes. Just hopefully they can kind of clean it up. Where do you sit when it comes to this whole recruiting deal that we're seeing right now?
I think, Christian, I keep up with it a little bit, like kind of like you. I don't really go full into detail, but it's more so, I guess, just kind of like we've been saying, really just trusting to get those guys that fully fit our system, and not only the system, right? Because I feel like a lot of people say, "Oh, just get the guys that fit Alabama," but also fit the identity that they're kind of buying into what we are kind of serving, if that makes sense there. But yeah, just entrusting that they get those guys, and whether those are the Monshell sales of 5 stars, or if it's a 3-star guy that's kind of blooming late, just trusting that the staff gets the guys that they want and that they know can serve the Bama standard. Yeah, and I agree. At the end of the day, I mean, that matters a lot more than just rankings. But to be fair, I understand why people have questions when you look at other teams. And like I said, I think that the biggest, I guess the thing that confuses me the most, Reed, is what is the truth, right? Is money truly not an issue, or is it somewhat of not an issue, but is that coming into play a little bit more than we've been? Because remember, Reed, before the whole narrative was Alabama didn't have the funds to keep up. Remember, like for the last couple of seasons, since NIL has been a big thing, like that's been a big deal. And I've always said, I'm like, I don't think it's that Alabama they don't have money. They're just a little bit more resourceful. But then recently, we heard Coach Saban come out and said, hey, there's a $24 million roster from last season, or even just some of these top, I guess, spenders that we've seen, and I don't know the accuracy of it, but Alabama's, generally like in the top 10 from what we've seen. So I guess my point is, like, all the other schools on these lists, like, I don't feel like they're having to be as resourceful. Does that make sense? So now I'm a little bit more confused again. I'm like, it's like I'm conflicted. I mean, are we being resourceful because we have to? Is it because we choose to? And if we're just choosing to, is that the right decision? I mean, there's just so many questions I think comes from it. But I don't know. Like Clint said,
time is probably the best answer here in this whole situation, because we'll know more down the road. And like I had mentioned, I mean, at the end of the day, even if you feel like you whiffed a little bit in high school recruiting, guess what? Transfer portal is going to open up, and there's going to be players that are fourth-tier guys that are, seasoned vets, and there's going to be plenty of guys that were top high school recruits just the year prior that, like he made the example with Ty Haywood. And you can circle back on those guys and then maybe get them at a later date. So at the end of the day, I want to be clear, like I said yesterday, me personally at least, I don't ever like panic over this stuff or freak out over recruiting, but I might have more questions than usual and might kind of have some concerns or doubts, but it's never like, oh man, I think we're, the sky is falling. I don't think nowadays, I don't think you really need to have that unless the portal window closes and you're going into a football season. Like say it's like, the spring of next year, the portal already closed, and you're looking at your roster like, hey, we plan on, roster retention, having all these guys, bringing these guys in the portal. But man, we didn't get the key pieces we need out of the portal. The guys that we have, we got concerns. Now we're going into the season, and it's like, damn, a year that we anticipated was going to be a big year for us, and more of a year that we're probably going to be viewed as a contender. Now doesn't have the same clarity as we once thought. Does that make sense? That's the only time I probably would say, okay, now we probably need to be a little more concerned.
And Christian, you don't have to necessarily answer this, but now that has me thinking, like, that question right there. What would, I'm now trying to think, how would I answer that question about this most recent season, right?
You're saying like after this past season, the transfer portal, all that, like how we're looking going into this year? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, going into this season after the transfer portal has closed and everything. How to, at least, this is at least a personal thought at least, and I don't know if you kind of reflect the same way, but did we feel like we met those? And of course, we'll see on paper and on the field come this fall, but at least right now heading into it, do we feel like we met those criteria?
That's a great question. Well, let me preface by saying, since I was joking about this other day, man, I was just bored. I was trying to find some recruiting info on some of these guys on Bama Online, and I was like, wait, who listens to Miller's Edge? And I saw that there was a forum or a thread of people like, oh man, Christian's complaining because he wasn't super impressed with our portal class. So who cares about his opinion? No, like all these people getting mad. I'm like, I didn't know people were that soft. Where if you just say, I'm not sure if we is in the most respectful way, I'm not sure if we got much better necessarily, if we improved. I don't know how that's so bad and why people, I don't know. And people, oh, well, what does he know? I don't know. I mean, I played the game 20 years. I mean, I think I watched tape. I watched tape in front of you guys. Like, I'm not just talking. So whatever. That being said, my honest opinion is the same thing I had said in that whole conversation. Like, do I feel like we attack the portal in a way where I have a sense of full confidence currently right now without seeing these guys, develop and come to fruition? I can't say necessarily that I feel like we, knocked it out of the park. And I know people are like, well, what does that look like? For me, this is how I view it. And I know there's a bunch of logistics and other things that go into this. But here's my thing. You struggle. You had one of the worst seasons ever of running the football. To me, I would have invested whatever resources necessary. And if we're going to revamp our offensive line, I know we've got young talent in Jackson Lloyd and Michael Carroll, even a guy like Will Sanders. I like Racing Delgatti a lot, but I would have at least said, man, I want me a plug-and-play starting tackle right now. Like, that would have gave me a little bit more confidence. Or even like another interior offensive lineman that I know has, tape on him, has started a couple years, that you also feel like is a good fit. Does that make sense? If we would have gotten a couple of those guys for the offensive line, I think I would have felt a little bit more confident. I'm not saying what they got out of the portal won't end up being, positive additions, or they won't contribute, it won't be better. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying where we stand right here, we replaced a lot of depth with some more depth or guys that haven't necessarily proven just that, which that's on the coaches to evaluate and kind of forecast, right? So if it all works out, those guys might not have been, big names or, had a lot of experience come into this, but the goal is they're going to produce a lot more now that they're here. So I want to be clear. I'm not saying it can't happen this year, but I think it's too early to tell. Does that make sense? Versus if you were have gotten, a starter or two from the portal on the offensive line, defensive line or somebody else, or maybe linebacker. I think there's a couple pieces that we probably could have got that would have made me a little bit more confident right now ahead of training camp going into the 2026 season. But with that said, it's just a little bit more of a wait and see idea. So don't go write articles on them online because you're upset because I said I'm not. I can't definitively say I'm super confident we're going to see massive changes this season, because I do think in 2027 you set yourself up really nice with the youth that we were able to go get. Because I think these guys have a lot of potential. That's what I said. They're just young and inexperienced, a little green. So that's all it is. So to answer your question, Reed, for 2026, I think it's just so early to tell. And with these guys not having a whole bunch of receipts to them, just a little bit more of a wait and see approach. But really good question, though. We got to hit a timeout. When we come back, we keep on rolling on this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC. Do you have cracks or potholes that are dragging down your property? All right, let's see what we got here on the chat. We'll talk about a couple of these when we come back as we wrap things up. You can call it stupid or stingy. They can try to name it resourceful all they want, but the proof is in the pudding. Talking about KJ Green from last cycle out of Duncanville. Wanted to come to Bama, but they didn't want to invest much money on him. Wait, so there are two KJ Greens? Is that the same name as this guy from this class too? I mean, we did bring in a number of defense linemen, I feel like, last season. So, I mean, we'll see kind of how these guys pan out. I like the Matthews guy that Clint named, though. I do like him, but I think you're talking about more of like a D tackle, right? If you don't have solid D line, then you're going to be no, man, I'm with you on the D line for sure. Keep in mind these players know where they're going, but they pick a date to announce it. I mean, I've said I think Gales. I mean, I'm almost like pretty positive he's basically like a silent Bama commit. But that's another receiver, man. Huh?
Are you talking about? Hold on, one to sing.
She provided music for the ride. She's good. I mean, we're on the timeout. She's good. All right, perfect. We'll keep this one short, Reed. But what if 2027 gets here and goes and still juggling some of these same issues? Yeah, like Clinton said, then I think, it's a little bit more of a concrete issue at that point, maybe. Which, like I said, I'm just being honest with you guys, man. Like, I think some of it might be a little calculated in terms of like the size of the class and stuff, but I'm just going to be honest with you, man. There's a number of it that I'm just telling you that I know for a fact. Like, they're not just intentionally saying, hey, we're just taking a bunch of lower unranked guys. Like, I mean, they while they're taking a smaller class and they don't want to overpay, they've also missed out on a number of players as well. I mean, I know that for a fact. So if that is an issue, next year as well, we'll have to see. But my question also is, I think QD had mentions, I mean, I know we're expecting 2026. Josh Pate kind of predicted 9-3. We've predicted 9-3. A lot of people are predicting that, but also would throw this out there. I think it's important that regardless of the record is important, but I think how they look is also extremely important, because I feel like reputation is a little bit in a fragile spot. Even though, I mean, we've done a lot of good stuff. I'm just telling you guys, I mean, like, there's always external noise, man. You guys hear it. And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Quick little segment here, but we'll shift gears. Chris Lowe, good friend of ours, got ties to the Carolinas. He's with On3 now. He came out with his coaches, his SEC head coach rankings list. And I know we do this every year, and I know it seems like we're beating a dead horse, but it's just, he literally just came out with this. This is his updated list. So I want to read this off and get everybody's thoughts on this. Number one, do you want to guess who he has as the top head coach in the SEC?
Kirby Smart.
Yeah. Well, okay. You're probably looking at the screen. Oh, no, you can't see it. It's not on the screen. All right. Do you want to guess number two?
Yes. Lane Kiffin.
That's wrong, but it's close. Do you want to take a second guess? Lane Kiffin's number 3, by the way.
Number 2 would be it can't be Kalen DeBoer.
It's not Kalen DeBoer on this list, no.
Okay. I have no idea. He said that guy from Vanderbilt.
No, so it's actually Steve Sarkisian. He's got Steve Sarkisian as number 2. Lane Kiffin is number 3. Kalen DeBoer, number 4. Mike Elko, number 5. Josh Heupel, number 6. Eli Drinkwitz, number 7. Clark Lee, 8. Brent Venables, 9. John Summerall, 10. Shane Beamer of your Gamecocks, number 11. Pete Golding, number 12. Alex Golish, New Auburn head coach, 13. Jeff Levy, 14. Ryan Silverfield, 15. And Will Stein, 16. Any thoughts? There's some movement that I would definitely make.
I mean, Kirby obviously would. I mean, what's the criteria? I think that's the thing you ask. Is it based on history? And then obviously it's Kirby Smart with the national championship. Is it based on last year? Because if it's based on last year, I'm putting the guy at Vanderbilt number 1.
So you're saying if you're going like off of last year,
if it's based on last year's coaching, last year's coaching would be Vanderbilt's coach would be number 1.
Well, the article leads off by saying ranking the head football coaches is a lot like ranking the best restaurants. It changes regularly, and the tastes of the customers vary. Sometimes those restaurants have been around the longest, become staples because of longevity. Other times, restaurants burst onto the scene and become the rage. Consistency, quality, and adaptability always matter when choosing a go-to restaurant. We unveil our preseason ranking of the SEC head coaches with those same qualities in mind, and these rankings could look markedly different by the time we get to the end of 2026. So basically, it sounds like this is fluid, and this does sound, in my opinion, as if it does take a lot into consideration about what you've done recently, but it also does respect longevity and consistency. So we got to hit a quick timeout. We come back, we'll give our thoughts on the rankings right here from Chris Lowe of the top head coaches in the SEC. Quick reminder before we hit this break, you've got, let me put that back on the screen so I can read it for you guys. Kirby Smart, number 1. Steve Sarkisian, 2. Lane Kiffin, 3. Kalen DeBoer, 4. Mike Elko, 5. Josh Heupel, 6. Eli Drinkwitz, 7. Clark Lee, 8. Brent Venables, 9. John Summerall, 10. Shane Beamer, 11. Pete Golding, 12. Alex Golish, 13. Jeff Levy, 14. Ryan Silverfield, 15. Will Stein, 16. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we come back right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230. WTBC.
I'm attorney Steve.
I would say I would move Clark Lee up a little bit, probably. I would bump Josh Heupel down a little bit, especially if it's like, what have you done lately? Personally, I would probably drop Josh Heupel a couple spots. The biggest conversation is everybody always is saying, why is Steve Sarkisian and Lane Kiffin above Kalen DeBoer? And to be fair, I think it's all about your perspective, right? Because if you're going off of, Kalen DeBoer out of those 3 gentlemen is the only one, I'm not including, when I say 3, I'm not including Kirby Smart here. Just him included with Steve Sarkisian and Lane Kiffin. He's the only one that's made a trip to the national championship. He's won conference titles, right? Over at Washington. He made it to the and he's made it to the SEC championship here in year 2 with Alabama. I thought he did lose, but he made it though. And Steve Sarkisian's never Texas didn't win an SEC championship football, did they?
They made it though. They made it against Georgia and lost.
But
that was 2024, whatever year that I was selected to the All SEC Legends team. That would have been because I was at the game. That was a very good game, by the way.
Was that 23 one that the first year that they were in the SEC? Or no?
Yes, it was 20.
That was the first year in the SEC. 23, right?
It was 23 or 22.
No, it's 23. Lane Kiffin, I know people, they always say, what has he won? But with me, I think it's the consistency that he's had. I mean, at Ole Miss, he had how many, 10 win seasons at Ole Miss?
Yeah, but Lane Kiffin is just an excellent football coach. And what he did at Ole Miss is remarkable. I have no problem with Lane Kiffin being right there. Not at all.
But hear me out though. But at what point do we say? I do feel like here's my thing with Coach DeBoer. I think if you remove some of those shouldn't have happened losses, he's a lot more firm in his ranking. I feel like he probably is bumped up a couple more. But I think the part that holds him back with these rankings is in fact those losses. I feel like the Florida State, the Vanderbilt the year prior, I think those losses are like a little bit of I hate to call it like a stain. I feel like it's a little bit of a strong word there, but you get what I'm saying? They kind of overshadow a lot of the good that he's done. And not to mention, Alabama's standards are so high. I do believe that kind of also plays out. Let me bring us back real quick when we talk about it. And welcome back into this Talkin' Tuesday. This is the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We're discussing Chris Lowe's head coach rankings that he dropped for the SEC. Again, Kirby Smart leading the charge, but then Kalen DeBoer coming in at number 4. We're discussing this now. This is what I was just saying when we were on a break. I feel like with Coach DeBoer, out of the other guys, again, Kirby Smart, he's definitively number 1 in my opinion, given, back-to-back national championships, back-to-back SEC champions the past couple of seasons. For me, I think with Coach DeBoer at number 4, I'm okay with that, but I also understand why people would argue that Steve Sarkisian and Lane Kiffin maybe shouldn't be ahead of him, but I think for me, what if I had to guess what other people see when they look at Kalen DeBoer and it comes to these rankings are those losses that shouldn't have happened. In my opinion, I feel like act as a little bit of a shadow, if you will. Maybe a stain sounds a little strong here, but you get what I'm saying? I think it overshadows a lot of the good that he's done. I mean, he won 4 straight ranked games in this conference. First time that's been done like ever or in a super long time, whatever the stat was. Second year, made it to the SEC championship here at Washington. He made a trip to the national championship game. He won a conference championship over there as well. I mean, if you're talking about championships and those types, I mean, even winning percentages against ranked opponents, winning percentages against majority of these coaches on this list, I think his record or his percentage is better than anybody. So that should automatically probably put him above those coaches. But I think what happens is, Coach Saban used to tell us this with our draft stock. They're looking for butts, B-U-T. This guy is a good pass rusher, but he struggles to set the edge. This guy is a great running back, but he struggles in pass pro. I think those buts are a little strong when you look at the Florida State loss, the Vanderbilt loss. Alabama's right back.
The Georgia
SEC championship
blown
game.
Out by unheard of Indiana.
No, you can't do that. You can't do that. No, you can't do that because Indiana blew everybody out. No, excuse me. No, they didn't blow everybody out, but they blew Oregon out. Excuse me. So don't make it seem like that. Indiana, this 2025 Indiana was not even the same Indiana. So don't do that. But go ahead. I mean, I was going to say, only thing I would say outside of that, which it is what it is. I don't think that's bad. Maybe bump them up 1 spot, or maybe to me,
Steve. I mean, listen, just go. I mean, these are good talking things, I guess, but really forward to it don't freaking matter.
He hates these. He hates preseason.
I hate these freaking things. I mean, can you find something else? You're speaking of me being the best writer, and put that picture back up on that stupid list. That my pen should be up on the screen and not this stupid Chris Lowe list. Because
why are you talking bad about Chris Lowe? That's our guy.
No, that's my guy. I'm not him. I'm just saying the list. My point is,
it's the dog days of summer, dude.
Will Kalen DeBoer punch his ticket again back in Atlanta? Will he get himself back into the playoffs? Will this team play with dominance and reckless abandonment? Will this team play with, catch this word, consistency at a level that we have become accustomed to seeing? That's the bottom line. They got a nice schedule that they're going to have an opportunity to, rewrite the ship, so to speak. Will he be able to do that? Now, what year is this? Number 3?
Yep.
Okay. I think this is the moving year. We talk about it in the draft. You're going that junior year. This is your moving year. This is your money year. I know he's got an extension and all this stuff, but this is a year. If we see much of the same, year number 4, will be keep him or fire him year. That's where
There's
he's at.
no way. After his contract extension, I don't even. I think year 5.
Sometimes you get contract extension just to get fired.
That's a little bit of a stretch. All right, we got to head out of here on this Talking Tuesday edition. Big thanks to everybody making it possible. Pastor Payne back in the mix. Always fun to have him on here. Big thanks to all you guys for the birthday wishes. Seriously, I appreciate you guys
Send
so
them
much.
super chat saying it's not too late.
Oh,
Send them on in.
There he goes.
Adam Lamparello with that $150 super chat for birthday. Adam Lamparello, I'm calling you. You're not in court.
Okay. We got to get out of here. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, right here on the Miller's Edge. Time 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Hope you guys have a great rest of y'all's day. We'll see you guys then.
You've been listening to the Miller's Edge, tackling sports daily.
That picture crazy.
Reed, appreciate you, brother. Nah, that picture is funny. I'll keep this going for a second. Hold on though. But no, but all seriousness though, man. All right, ease up. Don't go too hard on that, man. I've been talking with Mr. Byrne, Mr. Greg Byrne, man. Just don't go in too much. But I'll say this. There's some good coaches on this list, man. I like Mike Elko a lot. I like Clark Lee. No, God, don't. Why don't you focus on the road, man? You focus on the road.
I'm not driving. I mean, the car, the dude's all in my lane.
But let me ask you this.
I'm not even driving. See, I got my hands.
All right, be easy now. All right, but let me ask you this, though, all seriousness. To be fair, Coach DeBoer head to head, and I'm not saying this is everything, but I'm trying to look at all factors. I know you hate these lists, but it's an interesting talking point. I mean, head to head with Sark, I mean, he's gotten the better of him. I don't think he's coached against Lane Kiffin yet, to my knowledge. Not that I'm aware of. Kirby, I mean, I think he's is he 2-1 against Kirby right now? I'm definitely not making the case for him to be over Kirby. I'm just saying, like, he has a winning percentage against.
I mean, I think you can argue him against Lane Kiffin and Sark.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's all I was just going to ask you, because I think it's only fair that you present that argument, because he's won a conference championship. Granted, it was with Washington at the Pac-12. He's made it to a national championship game. Neither of those two did that. The head-to-head to Sark, he's beaten him there. So really, he basically, if you're pairing them side by side, he wins every battle except for some of the, like, if you're talking about the losses, the bad losses. That's really the only battle he loses, which again, I think that contributes to his perception, like how people perceive him. Right. So personally, I do think that's a very fair argument to make, but
I think those two guys are just better coaches than he is, even though he had those things you alluded to on the resume. My personal opinion is that they're better coaches.
But when you say that, though, you're going off of, because we just talked about it. I mean, head to head.
Lane Kiffin would have been there if he wouldn't have got this job. He would have been in the playoffs.
I don't. Wait. Hold on. Say it. Wait.
Lane Kiffin would have made it to the playoffs. I mean, he took Ole Miss basically to the playoffs.
Wait. You're saying
Ole Miss went to the playoffs this past year.
Well, I give him credit for that.
And they went deep into, even with a backup coach in Pete Golden. So if Lane Kiffin would have stayed there, I think they would have had a chance to win it all. I really do. But I understand why he left. I understand you can't turn down LSU. That money, NIL, that you got open checkbook. You can't turn that down.
Trevor in the chat says the losses are just part of his culture / ethic, trying to be smarter instead of having the cultural cojones to grind, elegance over competitive character and fortitude. In terms of, look, if I'm just being completely honest, I mean, I do think if they could develop a little bit more grit with how they have their culture set up, I think.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Here's my point with Kellen DeBoer, and I like him as a coach. I think he's a very good coach. But I think there's many other coaches that would have come and taken that over that job and would have done equally or better than what he has done.
You think so?
100%.
I have to give some pushback on that, knowing that, I mean, you faced Georgia in the regular season your first year here, and he ended up winning that football game. I would say year one. I mean, think about who he was. Where he had Jalen Milroe. Who was in that running back room? It's already. Was that Roydell Williams and?
Yeah.
No. Roydell transferred to Florida State. I'm sorry. Wait, no. I don't remember. Anyway, I mean,
You had Haynes and the other guy. Haynes and the one that was hurt.
There.
No, Haynes and the guy that was hurt a lot.
Who was that? Jam, of course, was
Jam
there.
Miller.
Justice Jam. Okay, yeah. Sorry. I'm drawing a blank on. Ryan was a freshman. Jeremy Bernard. Who were the other members? Maybe I am getting old. Regardless. I mean, I thought he had a pretty solid roster. I mean, I feel like last year, man. I said this yesterday, and I'll keep saying this. I believe this is probably one of the truest things, and I'm not saying this because I said it, but if you guys really think about this, let it marinate. I think the issue is he had a terrible for the 2025 season. The first impression was terrible, and the last impression was terrible, and that just leaves a big cloud over your head over the whole season, and it overshadows all the good that they in fact did last season. But when you have a first impression as bad as we did against Florida State, that had the whole world talking, not just because you lost the game, but the manner in which you lost, the way the team played, guys jogging on the field. I mean, that was on Sports Center. Everybody was talking about how they could not believe how soft, how lazy, guys not giving effort. Like, that was so uncharacteristic. And that was what started the year. And then to end the year, even though we had so many good things all in between these two moments, but to end the year, and of course it was a really good Indiana team that went on to be undefeated and win the whole thing. That was the last time and the last thing people saw for this football team, and it somewhat mirrored some of the things that we saw in that week one game. And so think about it. If you're not an Alabama fan, you're not watching necessarily week in and week out, those are two of the big moments, not to mention also the SEC championship game that people had a lot of eyes on. That's what's kind of overshadowing a lot of the good. I mean, that's just a fact. A bad first impression, a bad last impression. But the reality was last season was actually a pretty solid season outside of, some tough losses. I mean, just think about it. It's a better season than Texas had. It was wouldn't necessarily say it wasn't better than Ole Miss's per se. It wasn't better than Ole Miss, I would say. Texas A&M, I mean, they had a great year, but lost to Texas, and that was why they didn't make it to the SEC championship game. Then they had the first round exit against Miami, close one there. Dude threw a pick when they had a chance to put those points on the board at the end. But that's right, Kendrick Law, Ryan Williams, Kobe Prentice, yeah. Ty went down. Ty was hurt down the stretch pretty bad, O-line bad. It was an okay year.
And the fact Alabama, I mean, people are still talking 8-9 wins. That tells you everything that you need to know.
But here's my thing, though. When you say tells you everything you need to know, I mean, to be fair, I will talk about that tomorrow. Even though, again, that's been out. They're just kind of they're recycling.
I'm just saying that Alabama's gone with Nick's expectation 11-12, national championship or bust. Alabama,
yeah, but
that ship has sailed away. And it's gone past Mobile and the Gulf out Louisiana. It's headed. That ship gone. Because
this is go ahead.
Alabama is looked upon as a above average football team now with Kalen DeBoer, not a dominant football team anymore. And that's where I draw my conclusion of coach, because that's gone. And you can say, well, that started to lead with Nick Saban. I said that's somewhat of that is true. But when you look at the physicality or lack thereof. You look at how they were dominating those games on national TV, not one time, numerous times in 2 years. You look at the direction of the program, people not coming to meetings, to all these things that you look at how he's leading this program. Alabama is, to be fair, is a average to above average football team. Nobody's afraid of Alabama anymore. Nobody, they don't bring that fear that they used to anymore. They're just another team. I talk to people all over. Nobody talks about Alabama, even the national pundits. That's why the Josh Pates of the world would be, was they still 10, 11, 12, blah, 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 blah. They don't talk about them no more. It's 9, and I think they're itching to say 9 because they know 9 could be
He just
7
said
with
9.
this football team.
He just said 9.
I know.
He said,
I know you said it, but I'm saying, I bet you there's some possibles to that 9. Like, well, we think they're going to win these games.
No. He said, no, he would be in agreement with what you're saying, because what he said was, I could play it. I was going to play it today. I was saving it for tomorrow. He said he believes Alabama is a 9-3 team with the possibility of being 10-2. It's the same thing I said. I feel like Alabama right now currently looks like a 9-3 team. If they play their cards right, if the offensive line is a little bit better, they can establish a running game to be more balanced. If one of these quarterbacks can end up kind of getting up to speed as quick as possible, right? Because we know there's going to be growing pains, a lot of youth on this team. I think there's a chance they're 10-2. That's if they don't have any mistakes along the way, which I hate to say it, but one consistent theme with this new look Alabama is we have a hiccup along the way. And I think if you include that hiccup and then the schedule we have, I think 9-3 is pretty possible. That said, Josh Pate actually even said, I think it's a 9-3 team that could be 10-2, but that also could end up being 7-5 if you know what I mean, if worse comes to worse. So I think even people that are typically a lot higher on Alabama, they're starting to share some of the things that you're saying.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just saying. That when I was itching that 7-5 is,
that's like to me that would be catastrophic though, because I'm gonna pull up the schedule again. Listen, 7-5 with initially this schedule seemed like it was like one of the hardest schedules. It's a tough schedule, but it's a lot more manageable in my opinion than it might have I guess seemed initially. Let me pull up hold on, the clip from Pate. Hold on. Here it is. So that's the schedule. I think, who was it? I think somebody had something. They had us drop into, I can't remember what it was, but the first 5 games, I mean, there's a very real possibility this team is 5-0. And to Josh's point, he said by the time you do get to that stretch, all these growing pains and these, these little hurdles that we're talking about this team will have, right, with all the new faces, a lot of those questions will be answered by that point in time, which is a very fair point. But
no LSU on there. I mean,
no. LSU is an away game, so
I said okay.
The first 5 games, there's a very fair chance you could be 5-0. But I also see a world where East Carolina, that's a dub. Kentucky, people are saying that they think it could be a little bit more challenging than one might, I guess, believe. I can understand that, especially with it being so early. It's only week 2. You go on the road. Kentucky's got, new staff, new faces there. We'll have to see about that one. Florida State comes to Tuscaloosa. You got your Gamecocks coming to town. We'll see kind of what they look like this season. They brought back a number of players and brought in a number of players via the portal. That game has been a challenge for Coach DeBoer the last couple of seasons. And then you go on the road to Mississippi State, who State did some good things last year. They had kind of been down in the dumps for a few years, but it looks like they're starting to kind of figure some things out. But still, I think there's a chance you're still 5-0. Really, it's when you get to the thick of things. You got the Georgia, Tennessee on the road, A&M at home, but then on the road at LSU. I just don't see them losing 5 games. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but if they lost 5 games, that meant like the ship is sinking, everything is crumbling. I mean, if they lose 5 games, that I would probably say if you Georgia, Tennessee, I mean, you probably pretty much lose every game on that 4-week stretch, and then one that you probably shouldn't have lost or that you should have won.
I mean, all that sounds good, Christian, but
no. Let me.
I'm
You're
looking
saying
at.
you
I'm
could.
looking at the tape. I'm looking at.
There's no way you're looking at tape and think of 5
No,
losses.
I'm looking at that it could be 5 losses because I haven't seen young cat play quarterback at all.
Brother, you not watching that spring game?
I don't care about the spring game.
I know you say that. I'm just saying you can see potential though. Come on, man. You played this game long enough to be.
Yeah, but that's just potential.
Come on, man. Come on,
Until
man.
you do it, bro.
Man. I know you have to prove it, but I'm just saying, like,
I'm saying until you do it right now, no starts at the quarterback position. A very patchwork.
You want to make a bet? I bet you that whoever is our starting quarterback ends up being more productive than Lenora Sellers this upcoming season.
Continue straight to stay on I-40
Oh wow! If I really wish I had that Sorsby problem right now, because I bet you 10 stacks.
And I listen, and I'll be honest with you. I think Lenore's going to have a big year or a good year or a better year, I'd hope. But I'm just saying, I mean, he's got a lot of inconsistencies that he's got to
I know
clean
you're
up
just
on.
kidding. I know you're not.
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I'm telling you right now. I think Lenore's going to be a good quarterback this upcoming season. But I'm just telling you, like, the guys that we have will be at least as good as Lenore's, if not better. I'm just telling you. Just being honest, man. Just being honest.
Yeah, I think you might go eat out a piece of steak that we left because you might be hungry and you're hallucinating a little bit.
Did you not watch Lenore's last year?
They had it down, yeah.
So what makes you so confident that he's just going to?
We got a really good offensive staff and coordinator now. That's going to highlight his ability in ways.
Who is it? What changes did y'all make? I know you fired the offensive line coach.
We fired the offensive line coach. We fired the coordinator. We fired the quarterback coach. We got the guy that came from TCU, Kendall Browse.
Fair enough.
Sure.
Like I said, and I'm not saying that to downplay Lenore's. Like I said, I think he's a good quarterback, but I'm saying that in the sense of I have confidence in whether it's
Lenore's is projected right now to be another first-round pick. You know that.
Yeah, he was projected to be a first-round pick last year, but if he came out in this draft
He
class,
wouldn't
as bad as it was, he would have been a third-round pick at the best.
He would have been a second round, but he. Listen, I would tell you this. Again, my point to Alabama's offense: Jeremy Bernard is gone. Your best offensive lineman is gone. Your best quarterback is gone. Your best running backs is gone.
Keelan Russell, I think, has a higher ceiling than
There's so many open-ended questions. Don't tell me it's Chad. Everybody has, of course. But Alabama, when you don't have a trigger man that's proven, you lose your best, and Caden Proctor is the best that you had in first-round high pick. We knew that he would. I've been saying that 2 years ago. If you go back and pull the receipts, I said that he was going to be a first-round pick because I knew his measurables, his size, footwork. I knew that. But he didn't play great in college. He wasn't dominant. He got better, no doubt. So he's gone, right? Quarterback new. You got Rod Williams, you got a couple guys to receiver, but you're going to need some other guys to step up there. Okay? So, too many questions. Then I flipped on the other side of the ball. You didn't go get a guy that could come plug and play defensive lineman in, edge, whatever, that have played at a high level. You didn't really address that at all. Linebackers, middle linebacker.
What spot?
Defensive end / edge.
Well, here's the thing. So, listen, I know watching the tape on Tompkins, I had my questions, more so in the run game. But I'll be honest with you, after watching him this spring, man, he's going to be a good player. I'll be the first one to tell you, and I'll be the first one to say that I had my criticisms and questions watching tape. That's what I do. I go off of tape. I watched 3 games, and he struggled a little bit. But I've also seen him this spring. He's been working with Roach, listen, he looked a lot better. Now, I also will throw in that he was going against our offensive line, who I think is still very green, and they're still coming along. So we'll have to see once live bullets are flying. But I think he's going to be a solid player. So in terms of him replacing the production of a guy like LT Overton, which they're playing him at bandit some, but also kicking him down to a 3 technique, depending on personnel groupings that they're using, I think it's a nice pickup. I really do. And I think he should give you similar type production to really LT Overton, even though LT was more so primarily at bandit. I think Tompkins will probably spend, it really depends on the opponent, but maybe say he's split in half and half. Maybe one game it's a little bit more at 3 than bandit. It just all depends. Maybe how another guy develops at bandit could also play a role. That being said, I think you get similar production from LT Overton. But my biggest thing that I keep pointing out is you had LT Overton and similar guys last year, and it, we had a good defense, but it still wasn't, I guess, this elite defense, so to speak. So I'm not saying that we went and got an elite guy, so to speak, but I think he's a quality player that he's definitely going to be a Sunday guy. He'll probably end up being a day 2 type pick, or at least has that potential, in my opinion. So that was a good pickup. And then the linebacker from Virginia Tech, I think, is a solid transfer portal addition as well, Caleb Woodson. So they added some pieces, don't get me wrong, and I've gotten to see him this spring now after just instead of just watching them on tape. I think the portal additions are definitely better than they may have initially seemed, just going off of the limited tape that I was able to watch. But is it enough to, like what Reed asked me earlier, for me to say, hey, I think this is now a 10-2 type football team? Personally,
Nope.
I don't think so.
I really believe Alabama's 8-4, 9-3. That's where they're gonna find themselves. I think they're gonna for sure lose 3 games.
Who would those, looking at the schedule, tell me what teams that you would
A&M at LSU, Georgia. Thank you.
So that's 3. So maybe one more.
Maybe South Carolina or
you just had to throw that one in there. Really? Come on, man.
Or
give
Tennessee.
me a serious answer. Give me a serious
Tennessee,
answer.
South Carolina. Here's the 3. Kentucky. Listen, I'm gonna give you 4. Florida State, Kentucky, Tennessee, South Carolina. They're gonna go 3-1 in those games, and then they're gonna lose.
Wait, say that one more time. You said in the first 4 games you're going 3-1.
Kentucky, Florida State, South Carolina, and Tennessee. They're going to go 3-1 in those games. One of them teams will beat them. And then they're going to lose to A&M, Georgia, and Texas, and LSU. That's 4.
I mean, that's not far off from most. Again, their total is 8.5. So I mean, it's not.
That's where I'm at.
Crazy, but.
And if the quarterback play isn't, I mean, then you can talk about State. Now everybody comes into play. Auburn. I mean, don't sleep on East Carolina either. That first game.
Okay, now you really. You might need
I'm
to.
just saying
You said I need a steak. You said I need a steak, brother. Come on, man.
Power 5 school that plays good football. I'm trying
Brother,
to tell you.
opening up with East Carolina at home, but come on, man.
All right. Okay.
No, I'm not saying East Carolina is not a good school or a good football team. I'm just saying them coming to Tuscaloosa to kick the season off. Come on, man.
What they unproven quarterback and offensive line.
You keep saying that, but
no,
listen,
because I'm telling you, they hadn't played them line. That's the type of game where you get concerned
okay.
about.
No, but let me
look at Florida State last year.
But let me throw this out there though. People said that about Ty Simpson last year, which you even said it. Right?
What did Ty Simpson do in game 1 against Florida State?
He actually won the prom. He actually had a decent game. It was not his best game, but he didn't have any help. We ran the ball that first drive, and it looked great. And then after that, Florida State's D-line just abused us up front.
That's
No, but hear me out though. everybody said that about Alabama last year, that, they didn't have a proven quarterback. And I kept saying, I'm like, listen, whoever it is, more than likely it's Ty Simpson. He's going to have a solid year. I mean, people were ranking him at like way low on the list of SEC quarterbacks preseason. And I kept saying, I get it. It's because he doesn't really have receipts. But I'm like, when you watch guys, man, I get it. You're saying potential is just that. I'm with you on that. But I'm like, you and I both know, right? I mean, just like coaches, they don't know definitively if a guy has not started or played before. They can't definitively say that he's going to do X, Y, or Z. But what they can, I got it. But what they can do is look and say, hey, man, we're going to have him in this position. Right? This is, how we're going to try to make him successful. And I'm just saying, Keelan Russell, after watching him this spring, even Austin Mack, and knowing the system that they have where they're asking these guys to throw 35 plus times a game. Now, it's going to be critical that they're able to balance it out and have a running game. I've been saying that, right? I mean, you have to take pressure off the quarterback. You can't ask your quarterback to drop back 35 plus times to have no running game, expecting to be Superman and just be able to make everything happen. So that's going to be critical, which they're working on that. I mean, they went and got Adrian Clem, who I think is, again, I've heard nothing but nice stuff about him. I haven't really met him formally, but from what I've heard, he's a great football coach. He played in the league. He was responsible for having one of the better units at Oregon. I talked with J.C. Hassenauer, who's one of my teammates here. We were in the same recruiting class, and he played for him in Pittsburgh. And, I mean, spoke extremely highly of him. So, I mean, I'm confident that even though I don't know exactly how our personnel will be in terms of our offensive line, I like Jackson Lloyd after seeing him this spring. I know we were saying he was prematurely named starter. I still think they didn't need to do that early like that. Coach DeBoer kind of corrected that from Ryan Grubb. But Jackson Lloyd, there's some plays that I watched him make, man. Like he's a good athlete. He's instinctive, right? Like he's you can tell he's a good football player. He's going to be solid. Still got some growing up to do. Got to learn to anchor down a little bit better against power, but Michael Carroll's good. I like the center that we brought in, small school guy. Only thing I'm really concerned about, right tackle. I know people are saying, oh, well, Javen James, I mean, you saying they didn't bring anybody with experience, but I watched his tape at Mississippi State, man. There's some things he struggles with. Then this spring, he was a little inconsistent at times. But the good news is you can always kick Michael Carroll back out to right tackle and find one of these younger guys that can maybe bump in and play some right guard if you're struggling at right tackle enough. And I think Will Sanders, he didn't participate this spring, but I think he's a good player, showed some good stuff on tape last year. So I think this offensive line makes some progress. And if they do their part, I think whoever's at quarterback is going to be solid. But we'll have to see. You mentioned the receivers. I hate that Noah Carter got hurt because he was having a very productive spring. He was very consistent. Kind of was flashing a little bit of those qualities from, a guy like Jeremy Bernard. Is a very consistent guy in his route running, a consistent target, right? Just he was one of those players, it seemed like, or he was on that path. And unfortunately, he'll be out probably majority of this season. But they do have some young talent, though. I mean, C.D. Morgan had a really good spring. Derek Meadows was impressive. I think he ends up playing a lot of X. Ryan's going to be at that Z. You got Lottie or Brooks at slot. I mean, you got to remember, man, like, don't forget, they got some dudes, man, like Lottie, Ryan, if he can, find his foot and bounce back. C.D. Morgan, Derek Meadows. I mean, Rico Scott. Scrimmage, too, he had some drops. He kind of struggled, but A-Day, he looked a lot better. Hopefully he can find some consistency. But, yeah, they got pieces, man. They just got to put it all together.
Yeah, we'll see.
But here's the thing, though. I don't talent is not their biggest problem. Alabama has one of the most talented rosters, right? Believe it or not, they're young, but they got a lot of talent, man. I'm not saying it's the same level of talent that like I was, fortunate to play with. Like that's just hard to come by. I mean, maybe Ohio State's, in that kind of realm, but I don't know if I go as far as saying that, but they've got good players to work with, man.
Yeah, but talent only gets you so far. I.e. the San Antonio Spurs.
True. Yonze Pierre is one of the best edges in the league, paired with an elite secondary, plus the D-line is bigger than last season. This defense will win them games. I mean, that's the expectation is defense is going to have to step up and provide a little bit of a cushion like we saw last season at the end of the year, right? Because remember, it flipped early on in the season. Defense was inconsistent. Offense was operating at a very high level. Weren't running the ball great, but they didn't need to. Remember, we were talking about that. That was one of those things that was kind of an anomaly. The fact that they were able to control the tempo of football games without running the football was different. Now, granted, they used extensions of the running game, screen game, right? Lining Bernard up at different spots, jet sweep. I think even put him in the backfield at times. But I think what I want to see is them get away from all that cute shit and just get back to running the football. And that's why when Coach DeBoer was on the show, I asked him straight up, like, it felt to me, and I asked him, did he agree that they didn't really have a whole bunch of sense of direction or something
Identity.
really hang their like identity. Thank you. In their running game, which he didn't necessarily. He kind of, he didn't directly say that, but he basically indirectly said that and said that they're one of their big points of emphasis this offseason is not only execution, but trying to, as coaches, find things that they can really hang their hat on. So
Yeah, Alabama. Listen, I can't wait till we get going because
you just don't go in too much, man. Don't go in too much. I want you to definitely be your do your fair criticism, but at least give him a chance, man. Because I'm just gonna be honest with you, man. It's not just football.
What kind of chance?
No. This hear me out on this because it's in just football. I feel like media wise, they've been a little bit more sensitive, man. They just have. I'm just being honest with you. Yeah, I'm hosting the post game show again this year. Like, I mean, just I don't want them to anybody get all in their feelings. So just keep that in mind. It's not just football. I think in general, man. And it's interesting because I thought,
I am the ruler.
I need to get. He said he was going to come on the show like a year ago, but that was before he blew up, man.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, we'll definitely talk plenty about it this season. I mean, it'll be.
Well, you get next month. I mean, there's SEC Media Day, so it starts to pop. I'll start doing my around the league, looking at something. There's so much movement, man. There's so many different players. I mean, coaches. I mean, so many coaching changes. I mean, there's so much out there. Alabama have just as good a chance as anybody, but I look at Alabama in my mindset. I still think of old school Nick Saban, Alabama.
But you gotta adjust your software, man. And listen, it's hard for me to do. Let me give you an example. They posted a picture of what's his name, Reese Davis, right? Who's an Alabama grad. Reese, college game day, all that stuff. Yeah. He was speaking to the team, and dude, trust me, I'm the same way because I see like one of the photos. I can't help myself, but I'm looking. I'm like, wait. I'm like, dang, they're wearing hats in the meeting. I'm like, not only is this like a team meeting, I'm like, they're in the team meeting room. What do you mean? He's an Alabama grad.
Who cares?
What the world?
Them dudes not listen to Reese Davis.
They might want to have a career in broadcast.
Okay. But do that from a classroom perspective.
What are you? Wait. All right, no, you being overly critical. What are you talking about?
No, I'm just saying they need somebody.
He does a lot of motivational stuff. I mean, he's an Alabama
I know
grad.
He's a great man. He's a Christian. He's a born again. I know that's. I'm just saying.
Come on, man.
They're like even Stephen A. They brought in. Man, nobody care about what he's saying. I mean, listen.
What?
You're gonna tell me about marketing and building it. I'm talking about football, X's and O's. I want somebody. If I'm the head coach,
they had Ruben speak.
That's what I'm talking about. Bring somebody that knows Alabama. Bring Derrick Henry in there. Bring dudes in there that put on them colors, that understand the standard, that understand what it means to be successful and win at a high clip. That I mean, Reese is a great guy. Stephen, they got their successes different. I'm talking about on the field. I want somebody to come that can speak to the heart of these young men, to challenge their tails, to get them to a place of work ethic, to get them to a place of discipline, to get them to a place of being hungry and thirsty for success. You stop getting them. Everybody want to have their own podcast, and everybody wants to build up their brand. And screw the brand. The brand is go out there and win. The brand is not getting embarrassed and not think that it's okay to be embarrassed by any. And don't tell me what they did to everybody else. Just because somebody kicked somebody A, don't mean that you just gonna go out there and get your A kicked and think it's okay. I mean that's a problem to me. When you had that linebacker on the interview, and he was like, "Well, Indiana's good, and they did this and so too." Like, what kind of mindset is that? No, like that's called settling. They need somebody that can come in.
Wait, brother, you're going on a whole rant. Listen, you got like they pick one person and that's it. That's the only person they can bring in there. You got to remember.
I'm just making a point.
This isn't even training camp. Normally, it's training camp when you're bringing in a bunch of speakers. This is just during the summer. He just happened to speak to the team, man. It wasn't that. That wasn't
I ain't
my
mad
point.
about him speaking to the team.
No,
just saying.
that's very normal. You bring in a bunch of just like we had. I mean, we had a financial advisor come speak to us. Well, I mean, not everybody that speaks in front of a team is going to be literally hyping the guys. Like, this is summer, man. It's a team meeting. My point that I was making was, you're saying you're so used to certain things, and I was telling you I still have to get used to certain things too. For example, I couldn't help but notice when they posted that picture, I was seeing guys have like beanies on, like hats kind of hanging off their head, like, and I just was saying that to me is like that was like a cardinal sin. Like if you walk in the building, not even just a team meeting room, immediately somebody was telling you to take a hat off. So I just was saying, like, I get what you're used to because I'm used to it. I mean, I played here. But you just got to learn. I mean, it is what it is. You just got to adjust with it. I'm not saying
what
that
I'm
makes it
saying,
right.
and not just Alabama. I'm saying for the young athlete in general, they're soft. They have soft mindsets. They can't take criticism. They can't take hard coaching. And if they don't get their way, they're going to look for the next best train because their mental is very soft. Their mental is very fragile, right? And coaches are having a hard time, trying to coach these guys, trying to speak into these young men to get them to play at a high level because where their mental state is. And that starts from being young. It starts from the high school. And, the game has changed so much. So I'm still, I talked to other men. We were talking about it this week with several NFL guys and Cliff Livingston, who played with Michael Jordan. We were talking about, and he was even saying, like with LeBron James, and he won national NBA championships. He was saying the same thing. We were watching the game. The mindset of basketball players, soft, rolling around on the ground all the time, act like they don't. Oh God, they ain't gonna be able to get up. Every foul, it's shooting threes. Wemby 7'5", but he's standing around the 3-point line. The big man is extinct. I mean, it ain't just football. It's athletes. Period. Athletes today are very soft. I don't see toughness anymore. I see everybody wants to be a receiver. Everybody wants to, line up and on the perimeter. And it's just the mindset, though. The psyche is not there for toughness anymore. And even the coaches, right? The tough coaches are a dying breed. The Kirby Smarts and the few guys that are left that still coach hard. But most of these guys got to figure out a way to coach soft and have love relationships with all their players. And I got to tell an 18-year-old, 17-year-old, and now even 16-year-old how great they are, so I can get them to commit or what. I mean, it's just
yeah. I mean,
it's great.
Times have definitely changed.
That's all I'm saying.
That's fair. That's definitely fair. All right. I need to give me some lunch. We'll talk about the schedule stuff tomorrow. Plus, it looks like they're talking about. I think Pate did a whole thing about it, but he was talking about Alabama LSU game. Feels like an elimination type game. We'll listen to that. Play some of that stuff tomorrow. I need to get a guess. I'm trying to. Speaking to my Panthers teammates, I'm trying to get Marquise on here. Haynes played at Ole Miss. he wants to jump on here, but I think he's coaching now, so I think he teaches. I guess his high school.
Is he out the league too?
I think he just finished up. Yeah, he played like 7 years or so. But yeah, I think he's a defensive coordinator now at a high school. But I want to get him on here because remember the whole Lane Kiffin comments. I mean, he played at Ole Miss. He's like second in school history in sacks. So I'm like, I want to ask him about his recruitment and all that good stuff. But maybe see if he's free to do that maybe tomorrow. But jump on whenever. We're like I said, we talk a bunch of stuff now. We talk everything. We've been talking some baseball, been talking a little bit of finals here and there, been talking this whole
I'm surprised your boy didn't call today since Texas beat Alabama down in baseball. Digger.
I know. They've had our number, man. They've had our number, but yep, maybe we talk a little World Cup since
oh no.
Right now.
That's one thing I'm out.
Don't worry. I'll hit on it a little bit. But Chad, I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys again for everything, man. All the birthday wishes, all the support, just hanging out with us. We always appreciate it. We'll be back again tomorrow, same time, same place. You guys know where to find us. Always remind you guys, hit that like button on the way out if you haven't already. If you're watching on one of our other platforms, but you have a YouTube channel, if you guys don't mind, go over there, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on the road to 5K. We appreciate you guys for that. Anything you got before we get out of here?
No, I thought it was pretty cool. A good friend of mine from Greenville that I played this golf with had kind of a situation a few years back. He's a doctor actually, and we ended up having to federal time for a couple of years. He's a great man and wrongfully accused, but anyway, but he was saying, man, I was at Montgomery, Alabama, and he was on my team this week, and he said, man, I listened to one Christian Miller on even in prison, and he was listening in all the time. He's a big Ole Miss fan, but they were getting their show, so he was saying how good of a job he was doing. But he's out now. He's gonna get his practice back. He's gonna get his paper stuff back. So, but he had to serve a little bit of time, and I was like, you never know who's listening to you, or where they listen to you from.
Dang, that's cool, man. I don't know how they're doing that, but tell them thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Mean, so maybe sometimes they get a little shot to go on the internet or whatever. No, but he's out now. He get his stuff back.
Well, that's good, man. Well, tell him I appreciate that. Well, yeah. Well, maybe we'll get him on the show. He can maybe we might need to do some research first, but I mean, sounds like a good dude. Maybe
he's a great dude. He's actually not known this for years. Matter of fact, when y'all played Ole Miss, when you got SEC Defensive Player of the Week, when I was down there, I flew to Ole Miss and I stayed with him, and they had a whole big tailgate at the Grove and all that. Like a lot of people in Greenville are Ole Miss fans or Mississippi State, but most are Ole Miss. So he always talks about that.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. Good deal. Well, all right. Appreciate you jumping on. Y'all be safe on that road. Jump on whenever. We'll be back same time, same place.
Yep. We're on the other side of Atlanta, about 180 miles from the crib.
Nice. All right. Sounds good. We'll all be easy on that road and chat. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And see you later to my L1. She locked in those movies, man. All right. Y'all be safe.
All right. We'll holler.
All right.
All right. See ya. See you, Juan.
Bye.